All right. I think we're live and everything's good.
Great.
Great. All right. I will preface this before saying anything that internet's being fun because what are we blaming
Yeah.
British internet? That's what we're going to do.
Yeah, yeah, British internet's terrible.
So there might be some cutouts, but I mean, there's nothing either of us can really do about it. So we're just going to hope for the best. Anyway, welcome to episode 181 of this thing that I will never kill, apparently. And it's great. It's a great intro. This episode's gonna be a little different because, like every other episode I've ever done, I've usually interviewed RTA speedrunners. Not this time. You haven't done anything really RTA, right? Just so I'm not.
Nope,
Okay, great.
at least not in this game.
Fair enough. Um, so yes, this will be a nice big tassing episode, and the timing couldn't be more perfect because big little thing, big little thing. Yeah, that's not. So just Thing came out. I wonder
Yeah.
what that was.
No, this it's just small projects that we've been cooking up in the background. Finally got that out there. You may have heard of it. 120 stars, tool-assisted speedrun in Mario 64.
Mhm.
Um, Been a while, but yeah, we got it out the door after a lot of just endless comments.
Yeah.
Um, so they can finally shut up about it for now, at least until, a month's time when they start up again.
Well, I have to hope after 14 years finally getting it, people will not expect it for a while again. So,
I will see.
we'll see. But yes, the big 120 star task many years, over a decade in the making, dropped at the end of GDQ. And that was what, like 3 weeks ago. So, still pretty fresh.
Feels like a while ago. This three
Yeah.
weeks has been very, very busy, just with all the reactions, everything going on, getting the task video submission sorted, and just sort of like the calm down of coming back and being like, oh, now what?
Yeah, I mean, that was a lot. There was a lot leading up into that for sure. And
Hmm.
now it's like all over. But
Yeah.
now people won't stop banging on your door like, do this interview, tell me about this, right? So
Yeah,
guilty as
you're
charged.
the second person to ask me questions.
Yeah,
Yeah, just a big long line, clearly.
makes sense. I mean, you were the prominent face on GDQ
Hmm.
there. So,
Hmm.
yeah. This is what happens. But I mean, you were, what are we saying, the project lead? You can give your
Yeah,
official
project lead
credentials.
tasser, whatever. Yeah, I don't have a really official name for it. We all just kind of did small tasks as they came in. We just decide like really like specific roles, as it were. But yeah, person that kind of message people saying do this please. I was the enforcer saying like right, do the 120 actually work on it, because we had this very long period where we were like, oh, let's make a 120 star task. And then it's like, right, who wants to actually open Mupen and start tassing? And it's just dead silence. So yeah,
Yeah.
getting actually motivating people to actually, do stuff. That's the job.
Yeah, and there were many contributors. So,
A lot, yeah.
well,
And most of them, I have no idea. 10 of them that I like know well, and then the rest of them are just historical names that I like might not have even interacted with ever.
hmm, yeah, it's a big list. I remember Xander read off a bunch of names. I don't even think that was all of them, but it that was a lot of names still.
Yeah, I think he just did the authors, which was like 20 something. The authors list was just whatever I could fit into the task file character limit, because the authors
Hmm.
box in the task file is limited to like 200 and something characters. So I was like, right, I'm just gonna take the most prominent names that fit into that text box, and that's just going to be the authors list. Because at the end of the day, there's just this arbitrary cutoff between author and contributor, because
Hmm.
there's not really any criteria, right? So I'm just like, right, who did the most? They're going in the box, and then that's just how it is.
Well, at least there was some arbitrary thing you had to at least follow to decide the cutoff.
Yeah, mainly people that had like big improvements in the run and people who had inputs that didn't get like completely overwritten. But there
Mm,
is like just a point where you have to cut it off. There are probably some people in the contributors list that do actually have inputs, and I'm just not aware because it's something from like 2017, and I'm just not aware of like it being in there because the task history is like so long that there's very much a recency bias when it comes to checking all the contributors because I'm only aware of improvements that have happened recently. So things that might have happened ages ago and just never got improved, I lose track of it, unfortunately. But it is
mm,
what it is.
yeah. All right. Well, so that'll be like intro, and now I'll get into the meat of the episode. So gonna be a lot of task focused questions, obviously.
Oh,
Um,
nice.
So, well, first, I want to do the obvious first question because, people watch my show, I assume, usually in the RTA side of things. I need to get from a taster's
Mhm.
perspective, what is a task? Get it
What
out
is
of
a
the way.
task? It is a pre-configured sequence of inputs that you then play back to do the speedrun essentially. So if you're playing a video game, you are playing it live. You are doing those controller inputs in real time. So that is akin to say playing a piano, normally. Whereas tassing is more like a player piano. You create the inputs that you want to play, like in a piano, you type things, whatever, you feed that in, and then it just sort of plays it back automatically for you. A task is just that, but for controller inputs. This specific time it's going to press the Z button. At this specific time it's going to hold left, whatever. And then that all just gets played back. And because the game is completely deterministic, that will then play back consistently. And you can essentially create an optimal run. Now, of course, it isn't perfect because we don't know what the optimal sequence of inputs is. But our goal is to try and find a sequence of inputs out of that, ridiculously large space of possible inputs you could do that beats the game as fast as possible using all of our knowledge of the game and different strats, techniques, whatever, to do it.
Hmm. Yeah, I'm glad. I've always used the player piano analogy because I think that makes the most sense. Because,
Yeah.
a lot of the casual observers will just say, "Oh, it's a computer playing it back," but it's like, no, a person still made all that, by the
Yeah,
way.
there's a difference, isn't there? Because if you look at something the like agents in games that react to what's happening in the game in real time and have some configured logic like if this then do this. A task is obviously different because you're creating all the inputs from the start and then it plays them all back, and it's not it's not taking feedback from the game at all, really.
Mm,
It is just playing those inputs back as they were, like you are reading, like you're just reading a book, essentially just playing it all back.
mm. Like you purposely manipulate the game to avoid like suddenly all randomness that the RTA player would have is gone because you can manipulate it all.
Yes, because it's all pseudo random.
Hmm.
So any RNG, well, it's basically just on a set loop. There's 65,114 RNG states in the game. And when you load the game, it starts from 0. And every time RNG is called, it just increments to the next value. And that sequence will always be exactly the same. So when you play, as long as you're playing back from reset, the RNG, as long as you're playing back and doing the exact same stuff, the same stuff will happen. There's no external source of randomness coming into the game unless you count bit flips from hardware.
Hmm.
Not counting that, we're assuming that the hardware is fully functional and working as intended.
Yeah. Cosmic rays. Great stuff.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, and then you can literally take what you create in an emulator, put it on a console, and it'll play back just the same. It is,
Hmm.
yeah. So that's how that works. I guess the only thing you could argue is like, oh, computers playing this is scattershot, right?
Well, yeah, because we use those tools to create the sequence of inputs, but once those inputs are finalized, they are constant.
Mm,
So we have brute forces, which will sequences of inputs to try and find different strats, optimize things. And then once we've locked that in, we then find like the correct sequence of inputs, and then that's a constant now. So when
Mhm.
we go to play it back, there is no further input or calculation. It's just, all right, we know the inputs now, we just play those back one at a time. But the tools we use to create those inputs can be a lot more dynamic and interact with the game.
Mhm. So, what kind of tools are you using other than Scattershot?
Oh, there's so many different tools. I don't even know where to start. A lot of them are very technical, so it'd be
Mhm.
difficult to explain them all. But I guess the easiest tool to explain is probably what is now currently called SM64 Lua Redux, formerly input direction. So the idea is if you're holding the joystick in a certain direction, um, how it's going to move is going to be dependent on the camera position as well. So, it's and it's also it's quite difficult to line up Mario exactly. Now in the past, you'd have to have like some sort of memory watch to see what effective angle you were holding on the joystick, and then go through all the different joysticks until it was facing the right direction. Whereas with this tool, you can just say, right, I want to match Mario's current facing direction, or I want to have this specific angle, and it will just check the camera's current yaw in game and just calculate what the correct joystick is, and it'll just use that. So you don't
Mhm.
have to like manually check it; it just automatically figures out what that joystick is meant to be. And then it has loads of different additional features as well, like automatic arctan straining, which is a form of straining where I should explain what straining is. So the idea is if you're moving in the air, you are essentially locked to a specific angle in most actions, but you can move slightly sideways as well, and that's independent of your forward velocity. So if you want to move in the air, but you also want to move a bit to the side, we call that straining. And if you want to maximize the amount of distance you get over straining, it's not necessarily optimal to just hold like slightly off from Mario's facing direction. You want to capitalize on your forward speed. So you actually hold more in Mario's direction initially to build up a bit of speed, and then you strain really hard to one angle at the very end. And then that sort of curve is better than the diagonal line because you're building more speed initially. So there's a load of mathematics you can do to figure out like the optimal joysticks over like all the different variables, how long you want to do it, how much to the side you want to go, all that sort of stuff. And it just sort of automatically calculates all of that for you. So it will just do the optimal strain. It's technically not fully optimal because it's not taking into account 0.99 straining, which is another whole trick. More complications. That is a work in progress. I believe Xander's working on that based on some maths from, was it a Pass, I think? Did the whole they did a whole explainer video on this, like going on
Mm.
into all the mathematics of how to optimally move, which for regular tasking usually isn't necessary because we can brute force a good enough solution anyway that's close enough to optimal. But it is really interesting to see that people have gone away and done all this mathematical calculation to find out exactly how to move Mario optimally.
Mm.
But yeah, that's another feature. There's other stuff as well. I won't get into all the details, but usually it's just like automatic swimming, things like that. Um, yeah, but that just automates a lot of the tasking process. So instead of having to manually try loads of things, we can just press a button and it'll do those calculations for us, and we don't have to waste time on that, right?
Mhm. So, obviously, this test that just came out was like 14 years after the previous one. I assume a lot of
Yep.
these like big tools did not exist back then, so it was a lot more brute
Yes.
forcing.
Yeah, so a big reason why the task took so long to come out was that we didn't have the right tools for the job, and that standards had increased massively. We wanted to make a much more polished task, but it was going to take a very long time. You see this in like the sort of plush era from 2017 to 2021 ish, something like that, where the task was moving at a very glacial pace of like almost one course per year. And that was because every time a new improvement came out, you more or less had to restart everything from scratch. And the reason you had to do that and you couldn't just like pass everything in advance and put everything together was RNG.
Mhm.
Mainly for 100 coin stars, there's so much stuff calling RNG that when you can task it in advance, but then when you go to make the full game run, you basically have to redo it all because the RNG is now different. And so there were some basic tools for RNG manipulation, but if you had to restart to get a new improvement in, you more or less had to redo all of that slower. You couldn't get new improvements in, and the rate things were going, like by the time you test a whole nother course, there's probably another improvement found in one of the other courses, and then all that's out of date. And if you're moving at one course per year, everything's going to be out of date by the time you're done.
Mm.
So we needed new productivity tools essentially to make sure that we could, once we have these like drafts of all the different components, we can then retest things, change the RNG to be whatever we need it to be without too much extra hassle. So the idea was, once we had libsm64, which was created by Bad Boot, which you could use to simulate the game, we all started working on different brute forces, and I specifically made also fifth dispense as well. We also made tools for RNG manipulation specifically, and the idea was you could manipulate RNG without having to retest sections by changing how Mario walks. So if Mario's walking under 16 H speed, which isn't very fast, like joystick magnitude to change if Mario is like generating dust particles from the ground or not. And when you generate one of those dust particles, it increments the RNG index by 4. So you can do that without actually changing the. So that gives you a bit of RNG. We also wanted to optimize the movement so that it would work for the most RNG indices possible. So I created a script that would test movement. It would test movement for every RNG index and track exactly where coins from like an enemy went, right? And it would store all the positions for where the coins went, and then essentially use that as a big lookup table so that whenever it tested some movement, it could then just check that table and see if it would get all the coins or not without having to, test 65,000 times again. So it could optimize to maximize the amount of working RNG indices as well as how fast it's going. So you could do that to make the RNG more lenient. So with both of those, once you've got those two components, when you're putting the test together, the way you manipulate RNG is usually either in levels or between levels. So when you exit the level, you then have to re-enter it. So you walk for a little bit before you go back into the painting. You can do the walking manipulation there to advance RNG a little bit. So then once I was creating the tasks, I created it using scripts. So I'd put all of the tasks into one directory, and I had a script that would then load all those tasks, figure out automatically where all the different walk RNG manipulation spots were, and then it could automatically test different combinations of the dusting at every like section of the task to resync all of the tasks automatically. So it could say, right, I'm going to dust for 3 frames re-entering CCM the first time, I'm going to dust for 5 frames re-entering the second time. I'm going to do a little bit differently in this star, a little bit different star. It'll just work that out automatically and gradually reconstruct the whole task. Now, it can't do everything automatically because some 100 coin stars and a few others are a bit too precise in the RNG. And also for something like a long 100 coin star, you can set up RNG for the start pretty well. But the problem is, because there's 65,000 RNG combinations, you can't manipulate any of those 65,000. Normally you can only manipulate, like maybe you'll have like a 5,000 index region that you can reach from where you're currently at. You're testing it beforehand, months in advance. You don't know what that region's going to be. So you still have to you still have to retest the whole thing just because you can't hit any of those indices and you don't know which one it's going to be in the final run because to a small. So what I'd do is I'd test the start of the run to work for a bunch of different RNG indices, and then I'd automatically sync that up with whatever I got, and then manually test whatever was left, so that I'd have the complete run, but I didn't have to retest the entire thing each time. And so with all the different components, we were able to create the entire task in the span of like 4 months, something like start to finish, just by doing all the 100 coin stars well in advance, like, a year or two in ahead, and then intentionally putting the run together as fast as possible to minimize the amount of improvements that came in while we were making it, so that by the time it's done, there was only like 2 known improvements at that point, so it wasn't too bad.
Wow. And do you know how much time those improvements saved?
The one, yeah, the main one was behind Chain Chomp's Gate by Crithlith. That was 10 frames. I can't remember if there was something else or not. Mainly, most of the improvements came right after we made the task,
Yeah.
because once we published it, suddenly all these old tasters are coming back and suddenly interested in tasking the game again.
Hmm.
So suddenly they're all coming in and finding improvements. MK Dasher saved about a second in Wingman Rainbow.
Yeah, I saw that one.
There's been a like small saves in a few other stars as well. So obviously, it's kind of inevitable, right?
Hmm.
Because we can't force people to, task the game beforehand, and people are going to get interested when they do, and we can't make the task perfectly, obviously. So it was kind of inevitable that, once we put it out there, it's going to be all these improvements coming in. It's fine,
Yeah.
and they'll be in the 2040 task. It's whatever.
Yeah. But when it came out, there were only like a handful of frames you knew
Yeah,
of.
there's probably only about half a second or so,
That's
maybe
pretty
like two-thirds
good
of a second.
for a full like hour 14-minute run to only have like a known a half second of improvements when you're publishing it. That's
Yeah,
pretty
that's
good.
yeah, that's pretty good. Like I think the 2012 test had more than that because back then I think that yeah, I'll get to the 2012 test later actually, but
Okay.
yeah, that one had a weirdly similar process and history, but that also had like quite a few known saves by the time it came out, which were probably only a few seconds, and then obviously in the years following we saved 6-7 minutes. So
I'm not gonna do it. Sorry.
nope, don't do it.
Yeah,
You're fine. No.
no. Anyway, the resilience. Anyway, yeah, so it was really just optimal pretty
Mhm.
much when it came out, which is impressive given again just how much time the
Mm.
task still takes compared to most. So, pretty good track record. Obviously, yeah, now
Yeah, we
there's
had
a few
this.
seconds, but it's still
Yeah,
pretty
we
good.
had this discussion in the Discord recently. How low can it go? Because we've obviously the 2012 task saved a lot more over Riku's task than we saved over the 2012 task. So we're really starting to asymptote. Have no real reference to know what the limit is. We
Mhm.
know, like, unless there's some sort of major cutscene skip or ace discovery, it's like we can say with certainty it's probably not going to be under an hour unless you get one of those things.
Yeah.
But where is the limit? Could you get under 113, under 112? Could you get under 110? The problem is, at any moment, there could be a massive discovery in a single course that completely changes the game. We had
Mhm.
that for a few courses while making this task, where we had mainly, I think the most obvious one is HMC, Hazy
Yeah.
Maze Cave. That is very different to how it was like a year or two ago.
Yeah, I could tell that one was very unique to any other course
Yeah,
where every single star you're grabbing out of bounds while dying for the time save.
that one has an interesting story. So I was taking a break from 120 task work, and Biff Dispense and a few other people kind of talked me into working on the 70 ABC project, which is 70 stars without pressing the A button, assuming Fire C skipping the poll happens at some point in the future. That's a whole other thing. That's a work in progress. It'll come one day.
Just do
Um,
BBC, haha.
yeah.
Marbler did
But
it.
yeah, so I was working on a few of those. So that's specifically like trying to do these stars without pressing A as fast as possible. And I did a couple of those. And then I looked at Swimming Beast in the Cavern. So the strat was originally, this is like an RTA strat, right? You go down to that sort of elevator in that one room, and you use the elevator that's coming down to clip through the wall and fall down onto the Swimming Beast star. And I was like, that's a massive detour. It feels like there's a better way to do that. Like, it's just so long for this clip. So I was looking around the course and I was like, okay, maybe you can use a tech called floating point double wall pushes, where you position Mario exactly on the boundary between two walls, such that you get pushed by both walls and you get a massive wall push, like twice as much as normal. And I started looking at the different signs and then found that sign at the start and was like, wait a minute.
Wait, you
So I
found
used
sign
that.
clip?
Yep, that was me.
That's wild.
So I found that 470 ABC. Then I tasked it, and the time I got out was the same as like the single star task record, like with pressing A.
Mm.
So I was like, oh, this is faster for 120 as well.
Mhm.
So I did that for Swimming Beast. I did it for Metalhead Mario as well, and then put that out there. That was great. And then we started thinking, like, right, okay, there's this elevator in the corner, right? Could we use that in some way? Because you can BLJ off the slope of that island to get over to that elevator. And there's this idea that I've been kicking my head around my head for a while. I think it was an existing idea that other people thought of as well. The idea of using parallel universes to do Death Star glitch, which is where you die and grab the star during the fade out, so you skip all the cutscenes related to that. So HMC is really the only course you can do it in, because for most courses, the death planes are really far down. So if you try and do PU movement to get to those death planes, you take fall damage and lose the PU speed.
Mm.
So you can't like go to them to activate that fade out. But in HMC, because there's all these pits everywhere, there's these death planes at all these different heights, and you can reach those without taking major fall damage. So you can do this whole ridiculous route of getting to that elevator, going to a parallel universe, triggering the death fade out, and then coming back to the main map to grab the star during the fade out. And it turned out to be faster for almost every star. The only exception was Swimming Beast, because of sign clip that was now under 10 seconds.
Mm.
Emergency exit was faster by about 3 or 4 frames. Like it's like I think the original record was like 0.3 or, and it literally saved like barely anything doing the PU route, which is very funny that it was that close.
But still optimal. Sorry, I find it
Yeah.
the most interesting thing I'm hearing is that you found sign clip because that's an RTA strat now. Like people use that in the
I
actual
I
speed run.
hate that. I hate that because when I found it, I was like, "Wow, this is going to be such a surprise for people when they see the 120 tasks." Oh,
Mm.
Crythalith uploaded a new video. Oh no, I'm ruined.
Oh,
Thank you, Crythalith. Thank you very much.
did he did he find it separately or did he use what you found to make an RTA
No,
setup?
he
Okay.
found the RTA setup with Circa Mark, I believe.
Okay.
So he obviously saw my run, and then because he was on a bit of a grind of RTA setups after the carpetless,
Mhm.
so he then found the RTA setup for that, and then of course showed a Discord message of me saying there couldn't possibly be an RTA setup because it's too precise.
Mm.
Obviously, I was wrong about that because the amount of RTA setups kind of grows exponentially with the amount of like possible things you can do. So even though a float precise trick is very precise, there's so many different potential RTA setups that if you have scattershot to search through them all, you can find an RTA setup, turns out.
Yeah.
And quite a few of them. There are multiple of them.
Wow. Yeah, I remember. Well, I forget the analogy I heard of like how precise something float precise really is, but I know it's like like uncomprehensibly small. So the fact that it
Yeah,
works at
there's
all
the
is wild.
yeah, there's the red blood cell analogy. I think I said it was a millionth of Mario's height. Some not as precise because it's only
Can we fully go out?
hard to hit. Like
Oh,
I'd have a rough time. I don't think like traditional,
we're
even though
having
we
a
are on the
Discord
Nintendo
hiccup.
64, that they're using 32-bit floats because doubles are too slow to compute, I guess. So yeah, they are precise, but for tool assisted speedruns, they're not really precise. I've
Okay.
Crackhex tasked it like manually once without even a brute forcer, for a
Mm.
task comp once. So yeah, you can do it.
So yeah, tassing, but yeah, I was more like hitting something float precise RTA seems literally
Yeah,
impossible, but I mean,
yeah.
I guess if you have the right sequence of inputs, as long as they're exact, it can be
Yeah, the
done.
space of setups is much bigger than the precision required.
So yeah, the I think what a world record with a sign clip was set before the task came out then. So like it was
Hmm.
used RTA before it was used in like the full task, which is just really funny how that timeline works out.
I think it was used in one of was it used in one of Kieran's tasks? Oh yeah, because he made me he was doing an all signs task and he came to me asking for PU routes to get to the signs. So he wanted to go to PU, read a sign, go to a PU, read a sign, because you could conserve speed out of a sign. So you could chain PUs and then do the DSGs at the end. So I spent a little bit of time like routing that. So if you watch the all signs tasks, we do that sign clip setup, go to the elevator, do the BLJ, go to a PU, come back and read a sign, go to another PU, come back and read a sign, go to a PU, trigger the death fade out, get a star, things like that. And that came out like like a year before we finished 120 tasks, so
Oh,
it was
okay.
technically already known. But I have checked the YouTube analytics, and I do think that that DSG is like the most watched part of the run, or like top three most watched parts, because people just see the death and they're like, well, what happened? And then they see, oh, the star count went up. How did that happen? I've got to rewind.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, interesting. That's just really interesting how the timeline works out then, because obviously I'm more focused on the RTA side of things, so I remember when that stuff happened. But it's funny that
Yeah.
yeah, you found it for the task, and then like it wasn't revealed until this much later after everyone, I guess, unfortunately already knew about it thanks to the RTA
Yeah.
stuff. But
After that, there was some point. I think it was like I can't remember when it was, but there was some point where I kind of decided, okay, the 120 task is definitely happening. And I know like this is the one, even though like there were multiple failed attempts in the past. I was like, no, we're doing it for real this time. I'm gonna intentionally stop uploading my tasks. So if you look at my channel, there was no upload for a year because I was just working on 120 tasks in the background and not uploading it intentionally. So there were some things that were a surprise. I don't think it was anything major, to be honest, but the new Womps Fortress Hundreds, that was new. Um, I've kept it under the radar, but it was all public anyway. You could go on the task
no Discord.
in
Oh,
myself, but every star you could just download them. Like it was free. We had one person come in asking to like compile, like encode all of the separate things and make like a theory like compilation of the 120 task. And I was like, it's gonna come out in 6 months. There's no point.
yeah. Sorry, Discord cut off most of that.
Yeah, just gonna yeah. All of the tasks is public. It was all public before we released it.
Okay.
Not the final file, but all the components were public. You could just go on a spreadsheet and see all the different components before it came out. It's just that I was intentionally not publicizing them on YouTube.
Okay. So yeah, you could have technically watched the whole task in bits and pieces before it was out, but
Yeah,
like you had to know
yeah,
where to
you
look.
totally could. If someone
Interesting,
came
interesting.
and compiled it all, I couldn't stop them.
Yeah.
Like, I was just kind of banking on no much effort, and also it was too far out of the way for people to notice. So,
Well,
people don't really care about the task until it's out.
yeah, no, success. It worked.
Yeah.
And then so this is more out of curiosity. Whose idea was it to like premiere it at GDQ?
I don't know because it was kind of just the expectation of the community. It's like because we've done GDQ showcases in the past, it's like we're not gonna showcase it at GDQ.
Yeah.
It's kind of just it's inevitable. So I kind of just operated under the assumption that right, we make the 120 tasks and then we show it off at GDQ because that's just what you do. I didn't
Yeah.
and I was kind of the opinion of like right. I don't know. I've never met anyone in the SM64 task community. So I'm going to, because most people in the community live in different countries.
Mhm.
So I'm never going to see any of them. So I'm going to use GDQ as this opportunity to go see all these people because I'm probably never going to get any other opportunity to see them ever again. So this is my one chance to say hi, essentially. So that was my motivation for going, really. And also, I made the task, so I may as well showcase it.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, it was. I think it was a great decision. I am surprised on the time slot they gave us because at the end of the day,
Yeah.
it is still a task. It is separate from speedruns. So historically, task showcases happen on maybe like the Thursday, the Friday, something like that. They're not necessarily a bad time slot, like in the middle of the night or anything, but they do kind of get a backseat to the remaining, like the actual speed runs, right? Because that's what people
Mhm.
are there for. Because at the end of the day, most people, or like a good chunk of people, just aren't going to be interested in a task. And that's completely fair. If you want to see it for the human element, then you're not going to watch a task, obviously. So when I kind of checked the schedule, I was like, oh, they've given us like Saturday evening. I
The
was like,
primest
oh,
of
they're
times.
really yeah. And it clearly paid off because we had a huge crowd for it,
Yeah.
a lot more than I was certainly expecting. When we got on stage, we were chatting with the producer. They were like in our headset, right? We were just, making small talk as we were setting everything up. And they said to us at one point, like, we've never seen the crowd this big for something that isn't like the initial run or the finale.
Hmm.
So I'm sure they probably had comparable crowds in the past, and they're just hyping us up. But it was certainly a massive crowd. Like the only empty seats were at the very back. We had nearly a full audience. Like, it was basically as many people as you could get really for that time slot.
Yes, I have never seen it that full for that time period, and that was my 11th GDQ in person. So I can attest. Yes, that filled up more than
Hmm.
anything I can think of other than the finale. Everyone shows up at the finale because it's a finale, but like
Yeah.
that's more obvious. Or the opener. Even that sometimes that it might have been more crowded than the opener.
Yeah, I think I looked at the
Honestly.
stats, and the opener and the finale got more views. And yeah, also
Oh,
as
views, yeah.
Kieran said in the Twitch chat, premiering at GDQ gave us a strict deadline because
Yeah.
if you have a strict deadline, that really motivates you. Now, technically, we didn't like we I made sure we more or less finished the task before we submitted to GDQ. We didn't technically finish it because we did lag reduction up to the actual deadline, but I was kind of confident, like when we started working on 2024, I was like, right, I think it was somewhere around 2025. I was like, right, I'm going to aim for SGDQ 26. That's where I feel the reasonable stopping point is. Because I feel like if it goes on longer, we have too much risk of new improvements coming in earlier in the run. And that gives us like the right amount of time to finish it. Now, that did strain the lag reduction a bit. I do have to apologize to
Mhm.
Atom Pass and Circumark for that one. I didn't give them a lot of time, but they did do a lot of really good work on it. But I'm happy about that decision because I think having a strict deadline really helped us move on with the task and get going with it.
Mhm. And they did a lot. Like, how many seconds did you say were saved on lag reduction?
45 or so.
Wow.
Technically, that's compared to no lag reduction at all. So that's like compared to not even pressing C left in DDD, right? So,
Fair, but still.
but but that is still a lot. Atom Pass was sending me like daily improvements, and by the end, he was saving individual VIs, which is 1/60th of a second. Like he's saving them one at a time because he really wanted it to be perfect. Because I was saying to him when we started, because I got him onto it kind of like November, December or so. So I was saying to him, like, right, okay, there's only like 6 months here. You don't need to optimize everything. Just stick to the laggiest stuff, and you can like just do that and it's fine because I've not really given you enough time. But he was absolutely adamant, no, I want to optimize everything.
Hmm.
And he pushed himself kind of way too hard to do that, I think. But he was true to his word. He optimized literally everything.
Mhm. And yeah, for the question in chat, how did the lag reduction work?
So the way this started, I originally created a tool. So there are existing tools for playing back tasks on,
Come on.
but what we didn't have was a way to modify the camera. So the idea was you could play back a task, but it would give you free control of the camera. So it would do all the normal task movements, and you could then modify the camera without it desyncing.
Hmm.
So you could do that to test different camera angles without, and then like check what the lag is compared to the task movement. So you can just play it back in real time and do what you want. Now, Atom Pass kind of created his own unique setup for this. I don't have the full info on this. I only saw him in VC working on this once, but the way he kind of had it set up was he had like the task, like the emulator running. Press a button, and it would immediately then play back. Just read it from somewhere, connect it to the N64, and then play back that run with that camera and then he'd then like have a live recording of it, and then kind of go back frame by frame, change the frames the camera inputs were, and then send that back to the N64. That would then automatically play back, and then he'd see where the lag is. He'd change it again. He'd just keep doing that, and each cycle would only take like a minute or so, and he could just keep like iterating that. So he had it like basically all automatic. So he could just like change the inputs, press a button, it would then automatically play back, and he could immediately see it. I don't know what the details of that setup are. I have no idea how he got that to work, but that was kind of his workflow, and he was literally going through like squashing like every single lag frame he can, and if he couldn't, he would spend a long time like C left around this point. No, he was figuring out the exact correct frame to press each camera input. So like it was really, really impressive. But he could only do that because he had such an efficient setup for testing it.
Mm. Yeah, it's just wild that all of this is possible.
Yeah, it's crazy. We had to develop all of these tools specifically for this work, right?
Mhm.
So the syncing was also important as well, because once you have those camera inputs, you still have to then create that task. Because even though the ROM hack will play it back correctly, you still need to like reconfigure the joystick. So I made a brute force script that would take the new camera inputs, take the old task as a guideline, and then try and automatically match the new task so that the joystick would then line up again. Now it's not perfect because depending on the camera, you can't get like the exact joystick, so there's a bit of drift over time. So you have to either do a bit of manual brute forcing or a bit of manual retasking to get it all the way. But that can get you sort of a lot of the way there automatically with doing all the resyncing. Now, most of the lag reduction was just camera changes, but I believe Atompass also did change movement as well. Like he
Mm.
found like a less laggy movement or something like that. So he really went all out. So yeah, massive props to him.
Yeah, that's incredibly impressive. Yeah,
Mm.
the amount of like just programs and everything testers use, especially for Mario 64 at this point, just blows my mind. Like I've seen people open up Stroop,
Mhm.
which is, the
Yep.
big reader of everything the game is currently
Yes.
reading. It's just like I'm looking at like a command center. I don't know what the hell
Yeah.
that is, but wow.
There is super documentation, like a complete documentation for Stroop. I think he and Pannon may be like the only people who know what everything in Stroop does, because there is a million tabs and a million like hotkeys that you would never find other than Super M's documentation. Because he had to
Jesus.
like go and like look in the code and ask Pannon like what all the secrets were, because it wasn't documented until very recently. So
Wow.
yeah, that thing is an absolute beast and has like a million features that I will never use.
Yeah, I feel like you can do pretty much anything with it that you would want as long as you know what you're doing, which is the hard part.
Yeah, it is essentially just a memory watch tool at the end of the day. You can use it for there's a few other additional features as well, but if you need to do like brute forcing and actual tasking, you need to
Yeah.
have separate tools for that as well. That's mainly for figuring out what you want to do or visualizing what is happening at the current moment.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I mean, there are so many programs that exist for testing, and again, this is out of my wheelhouse, so I'm gonna sound basic as hell about it, but yeah, it's wild. The furthest I've ever gotten with tasking is I figured out like FCUX tasking Mario 1
Hmm.
and not even like optimizing it really, just like, oh, I know
Hmm.
how to make
Yeah.
it play back buttons. It ain't
Hmm.
that simple at the high level. It There's so many
Yeah.
things.
It's something you just kind of have to enjoy, to be honest. It is one of those things. It's like people that play, I guess, Factorio, something like that. These like management games where you just do micromanagement for hours at a time. That's the kind of mindset you need. I'm guessing that I never played Factorio. I think that's what it's about. I don't know. That's what I've heard. But yeah, like when I was a kid, because I remember watching the past competition reveal videos in 2012 when I was about 10 years old and just being like, yep, that's what I want to do. I want to do that. Like
Interesting.
that like tassing was just always what I was going to do. And then, a few years later when I actually figured out what an emulator was, I was just immediately on it, getting into Tascom, doing all that stuff, and yeah, just went from there.
Well, Actually, that leads to a good talking point because I was gonna ask like how you got started with everything. So that's how.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how I figured out how I found Mario 64 necessarily because I played 64 DS as a kid, obviously,
Same,
because
yeah.
I didn't have an N64, right? I was too late for that. I had a GameCube, played Double Dash, things like that, but I didn't have an N64, so I played DS. Probably looked it up on YouTube, probably stumbled into Mario 64 from there. I would guess it would probably be like someone like MK Dasher because he
Hmm.
did Mario 64 and 64 DS and Tassing, like he did all that stuff. So probably someone like him. And then I stumbled into the Task Comp stuff, thought that's amazing. And then a few years later, figured out an emulator, like 2014, something like that. Then in 2015, I actually
Come
imagined
on.
the quality of submission there, not very good.
Hold on, Discord's doing
For
its thing.
from it for a while. And then 2018, I got recommended the 2018 task competition.
Oh,
Remember that? I might, enter that again.
here,
And
hold on.
then,
Can you hear me?
oh, are we back? We're back.
Yeah, just give it a second. Yeah, Discord just completely cut out all of that. So I
Oh,
was like,
sorry.
I wanted to interrupt you before you went too far.
Sorry, where did it cut out?
Just like honestly, the start of that talking point.
Yeah, so yeah, 2012 was when I discovered tasking as a kid.
Hmm.
2014 was when I made my first tasks. 2015 was when I started entering task comp. Then I
Hmm.
kind of fell out of it for a while. Came back into it in 2018 when the 2018 task comp started, and I was like, oh, I might as well just enter like one task because I remember doing it in the past, and then placed like 6th out of 60 or something, and I was like,
Jesus.
hey, this is fun. Yeah, because I was like, I'd not done a task for my old tasks were terrible because I was a kid.
Hmm.
Lucky with that run. I was stuck around from this, and then I just kind of kept going from there. I never really stopped from that point.
Hmm. So what for the uninitiated? What is the task comp?
Task comp is essentially you get some sort of task, like say for example, start in Bubble Battlefield from exiting this cannon, collect like break so many boxes, so many win cap boxes, and then end by entering a different cannon. Something like that. Just a sequence of things you have to do. So you could do that as a task RTA, but in task comp, the idea is you have about 2 weeks or so to create a task of that those requirements, and you're not sharing it with anyone else. Although there are sometimes collaborative tasks where you can work with another person, but ideally you keep your run a secret, and then after the 2 weeks are up, we then like show them off and then see who's done the best run. So basically, it's a competition of who can create the best tasks of this thing. And that obviously is testing your strat finding, how well you can figure out movement, and how well you can optimize things like that. And it's just like a microcosm of tassing because something like 120 tassing that has a very high bar to entry because it's been worked on for so long that it's very difficult to newcomer and just make.
Yeah.
You're not going to be able to improve those runs right away too hard. But task comp, anyone can do it. You can come in at any level and you can just compete against you place wherever you place, and there's no real barrier to entry there. You can come in from absolutely no experience, and it gets the community together into one task, and it's just a load of fun. There is currently a task comp ongoing, I believe, 30th anniversary. So yeah, if you want to get into Mario 64 tasking, go find that, give it a go. I don't know if it's like a tournament where you can't enter the subsequent ones, but I'm sure you can still make a run anyway. Depending on what the format is, but yeah, it's still a thing. It's still great. That's how I got into tasking mainly because again, I considered tasking for 120 to be too difficult. That's for the good tasters. I'm not a good taster. I can't do that. It was only kind of later decided, right, I'm going to get into this more. So because I was entering task comp up until like 2020, and that was when I finally got my first task comp win, and that was actually on the Easyscape task tournament, which had a,
Mm,
a cash prize, funnily enough. So that was great.
nice.
I used that to buy a laptop for uni, so that was fun. But then I took a break to focus on uni, and then 2021, I came back. I was like, right, I'm gonna start focusing on 120 more, and I set myself this loose goal of I want to improve 3 stars for the 120 task. That's kind of my goal. That's what I wanted to do. Exceeded that a little bit. Yeah, because I ended up improving like 2/3 of the tasks, like 80 or something. I think I have my name on in some degree. Not like a lot of those are just like tiny little improvements, but yeah, I did kind of just take off from there and just started going ham at it because I had that confidence and knowledge by that point to, you know, pass at the highest level.
Mm. Yeah, I am familiar with the task comp scene. I've watched it for a while. It's funny because one of my earliest like just speedrunning in general memories. The
Mhm,
first time I went to GDQ was SGDQ 2018. It's now a
mhm.
while ago. And I roomed with Cosmic, and so he was the
Oh
first
yeah.
person I met, and we
Mhm.
so met him for the first time. We went to get lunch, and while getting lunch, he just pulled up Ted's stream with the task comp results, and we just watched that for like an hour at the Dairy Queen
Yeah,
or whatever.
which
So,
task was it? Do you remember
God,
which task?
no. I mean, we're
Oh,
talking
shame.
over 8 years ago now.
I'll have to find whichever one overlaps with the GDQ
Yeah, it would have
2018 and see which
been
one it was.
day 0. So SGDQ 2018,
Crazy.
the day before. So that's Saturday, the Saturday before the show starts, whatever that was.
Yeah, whatever day that was. I
But yeah.
remember being really hyped in Task 6. It was one in Lethal Lava Land because I beat Cosmic in that task. I was like, oh my god, it's this famous person. I've placed
Yeah.
higher than I'm so good. Even though
Yeah.
the run itself wasn't that great. But yeah, that there is a. I think Tascom is great because you get to compete against everyone. So what because even if you win a task, you probably miss stuff. Like I like it the combination of all the best runs is going to be faster than whatever first place had. So it's great to sort of
Mhm.
see and improve because it gives you that constant way to improve on yourself. You figure out what could I have done better, and you'll learn from it over and over again. You get to chat with other people, see what their thought process was. It's really interesting to see what other people's thought processes are, what routes they consider to be good, what routes you consider to be good. And you constantly use that to iteratively improve over and over again. So it's only from entering task comp for years at a time that I could reach the level that I did.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, didn't you say the thing that got you into everything was a task competition in like 2012?
Yeah,
So
it
they've been
was.
around
Yeah,
forever.
yeah. I mean, I think the oldest task comps were in like 2008, maybe 2007. Like there are
That's
some
wild.
really, really old ones from like back in like the Skype days, like the old web forum days. I don't know, like what's the oldest one I have? I think the oldest one I have on record is 2009 Johannes Task Comp, something like that.
Wow.
But yeah, those were back in the days of like Blaze Soul and Johannes and Nahok and Jump Dive Slope and Bob Mario 511. My God, those are old names. Yeah, don't. I wonder what those guys are doing. I know Nahok's still around, but yeah, I don't. I think Bob Mario commented on the 120 TAS as well, the new one. So yeah, a few of them are still lurking.
Yeah. But that all predates even Justin TV, so there was no like stream reveal of the results or anything. So that's how long it's been
Yeah,
going on.
yeah.
Wild. Because I have memories of watching task comps as early as like a year into my speed run, not even a year into my speedrun knowledge, and that's still even 8 years, over 8 years now. But it's been going on far longer than that.
Hmm.
It's interesting to think about. But yeah,
Yeah.
I've watched plenty of reveals, and I like when people at the end make like the collage of, because you can like put all the Marios on one map and have them like see all the routes at once.
Oh
That's fun.
yeah, yeah, that's great because originally Dennis was doing that with some custom hack via BizHawk or something to do like compilation videos, and then we got Ghost Hack, which means you could kind of do it live as well.
Mm, yeah, that's so cool. So, yep, check out task comps. Where are
Yep.
those usually like where to
Um,
watch nowadays?
the current task comp I think is in I don't know what server it's in. Let me check.
Jesus.
there is a task competitions channel, and that like cross posts all of the task comp stuff as well, so you can see where it's all going. Yeah, I think the current tournament is in a separate server. There is also a newer task comp server called New SM64 Task Competition. That might get revived as well. I think Xpurge is the one currently running everything.
Hmm.
So yeah, if you're in doubt, just go to the Passing ABC server and check the task competitions channel because it will all get cross posted there as well, and you can find it from there.
Hmm. Yeah, and did the reveal streams still happen?
Yep, those are still happening. Yeah, I think Xpurge is currently streaming them. So
Okay.
yeah, those are still a thing, thankfully.
Yeah,
I'm
because
very
Ted,
glad
I haven't
because it is
seen you
great.
go live in a while. I don't know when these are happening, but yeah, no,
Yeah.
they're always a little fun to watch because it's just
Mhm.
I don't know, it's a completely unique thing. Like you
Yeah,
don't,
yeah.
yeah, but yeah,
A lot of other
I've been watching it for
games
years.
have task comps as well.
Yeah, I know. Um, Inspired by the Mario 64 stuff, a couple people in the Mario 1 tasking scene tried to make their own little thing for a little while. I don't know. I was never really involved in that, so I don't know the specifics, but I
At,
remember it being a
at
thing.
one point, briefly, there was multi-task competition where they would
Mm,
basically leverage different task competitions from different games and basically host one task from each game as sort of the like multi-game comp task of the week. So
mm,
we'd have one for SM64 and then one for a different game, like one for Trackmania, for example,
ooh,
one for all these other things. You just kind of rota between all these different games, task comps, and kind of bring people out from these other communities to like task all these different games. So we hosted that in SM64 Task Comp for one task as well. So we'd have all these people from different task communities come in and task SM64, and they then go off and task a different game and things like that. So that was a bit of fun for a while.
yeah, wow. Yeah, I forget, like, every game has their own, like, whole tasking community too, and each game is
Yeah,
wildly different, so
yeah.
that's fun. Decade comp. What's that?
That is a joke competition where you get 10 years to work on your submission.
Oh, wonderful. Very cool.
There was a year task comp as well, I think, where you had 1 year. I don't know what the deadline for the decade comp is. It's probably less than 5 years. I don't know what it is. It's probably 20.
Yep. Oh, are we back? No, not quite. Uh, gotta love technology, am I right, gamers? Anyway.
Did it get the explanation out?
Um, I heard if whatever the decade comp was, it's probably like less than 5 years away from ending. So,
Yeah, something
getting
like that.
getting close, but that's about
Yeah,
all I
it
heard.
started a while ago. Yeah, time has flown.
But it is actually like a real thing.
Yeah, it's kind of a joke because
Yeah.
we had like task comp, then we had speed task comp where you have like an hour to make your
Oh
submission,
my god.
and then someone made like year task comp as a joke, and then we got
Decade. Okay. What about century? You know,
oh
just
yeah,
work on it
maybe
your whole
yeah, get
life.
someone on that. Yeah, it'd be yeah, people who aren't even born yet, commentating runs from people that are long dead.
That's a
Fun.
terrifying thought, never mind. Forget I said anything. Ugh. But yeah, no. I can recommend task comps. It's good viewing content. I've been watching a while, but fell off of it a little more recently because honestly I just watched whenever Ted went live. But
Yeah,
yeah.
it's moved a little bit. It's different
Yeah.
people running it now.
Yeah. What the hell, Ted? No, it's fine. Um let's see. So I think that's all the task comp information we need, probably. Um, trying to think. So kind of went over your personal history getting into like tasking, what you do in tasking now, sounds
Mhm,
like. I guess I'll bring it back to the GDQ because there is more I want to go over about that.
mhm.
Because obviously I have a personal connection to that. I was on the floor, in the very front. I made it
Yep,
work.
yep. Yeah, good job.
Yeah. Hey, I was the guy that helped get all the tassers on the back couch. I was like jumping up and being like, "You come over here, you." Like so.
Yeah, we got a decent cast on there. It's great. Yeah, because he was Davo, Arco.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
we're cutting out again. Yeah.
a few
What?
people.
Dev Wizard, Arcombs,
Can't
Super
remember who was
Davo,
on
and
that couch.
Blobfish. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, Davo, Blobfish, Arcombs. Yeah.
Yeah. Arcombs like sat like 3 rows behind, and I just happened to see her like go sit down. So I was like, hold on, and I hop up and run over them. I'm like,
Yeah,
come with me. It's really funny.
yeah. The golden ticket.
The golden ticket. No, that was fun. Like, I don't
Mm.
know. That again, yeah, I remember getting up and going over there and I saw the whole room and I was like, holy shit.
Yeah, yeah. I was watching it fill up from the front. I was just like, the good thing for me is I am not facing the crowd. I am facing the screen, so I don't have to worry
Yeah.
about it.
So yeah, and I've done plenty of on stage runs myself. So once
Mhm.
you're kind of like, the nerves hit when you're like leading up to it and you can look behind you and like, fuck. And then, but once it starts and you kind of have to like focus on the screen, you kind of forget
Mm.
what's behind you and you can kind of more lock in.
I feel like it's like that more for people that actually have to play the game because they're
Sure,
more worried
yes.
about the run itself. For me, the nerves ended kind of when I got on the stage and I put the headphones on because first thing I realized was, wow, the noise cancelling is really good.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that kind of calmed me down because I was worried I'd have a bit of sensory overload being on that stage.
Mm.
The only parts that really happened was for the Toad cheering. Every time
Yeah.
Toad showed up, I could feel it in like deep into my ears. It was really loud.
Yeah. Ted really wanted that though, so we had to make it
Yeah,
happen.
Ted was really pushing that bit.
I'll shout out 100th Coin. He really went hard for Toad, so I got to give him his
Yeah, good
props,
job.
especially since he was like right near me. But
Yeah.
yeah, no, that was fun. Um, and I'm glad again, like just so many people from not just obviously there was a big task community show up, but like
Mhm.
there are a bunch of
Yep.
like Odyssey speedrunners that were there. There were a bunch of, Mario 64 RTA runners that were there. Like almost everyone I hang out with was at least in the room. And it was just so
Yeah,
cool that everyone came
I got the
together for it.
chance to Yeah, I got the chance to chat to people I would never chat to really. Like when I was just lurking around in the days leading up to the showcase, I'd have people just come up to me and say hi because they, recognize the badge. It did
Mhm.
kind of get to the point where I was kind of hiding the badge a little bit. I was like,
Yeah.
I was like, oh, this is attracting more people than I thought. But yeah, there were people from like SM64 RTA community coming up to me and saying like, wow, we don't, the RTA community and the TAS community are so separate. We never, ever talk. I'm
Mhm.
like, yeah, that's true. Bye. But yeah, I met some people in the lift that had like I think they were like two brothers. They had like the Mario and Luigi caps on, and they were
Mhm.
like, "Oh, we've come here like to see this run." And I'm like, "Wow, that's crazy! It's weird that something I've kind of helped create has brought all these people to this one place. It's a weird
Mhm.
feeling."
Yeah, and because I talk to a lot of the RTA 64 community sometimes, they do want to like kind of bridge the gap that the TAS and RTA communities kind of feel like they have. So I think this TAS showcase was
Yeah.
kind of a good excuse for that because yeah, there was a lot of talking between the two, I could tell. So
Hmm.
that was
Yeah.
nice. And again, yeah, there was just a big turnout. Like so many of the Mario 64 people that showed up. Like there was no Mario 64 thing other than the task. Like that's probably why they
Yep.
were there, other than also to just hang out with people. But yeah, it was a big
Yeah.
deal, and
Yeah.
I got to be there on quite literally the ground floor.
Yeah, I got a lot of I got a lot of mementos. So first of all, I'm
All right.
wearing what I call right now the fraud shirt
Mm,
because this is all part of the swag they gave me for being a runner.
runner. Yeah.
Because I'm at the front presenting, I am technically a runner. So when I check in, they're showing me around like, "Oh, here's the practice room where you're going to be practicing for
Yeah.
your run." I'm like, funny thing about that. So
Yeah, that's funny.
I've got all the funny things. Yeah, they gave me a runner badge, even though I don't really deserve it. This is my fraud badge. And then I also got mementos from a few other people. Like Ted
Yeah.
gave me a genuine $2 bill. This is from
Yeah.
Big Ted himself, the equivalent of the
Nice.
British £2 coin. And then Xander gave me a real Canadian Tim Hortons gift card. I did try and tell him we have Tim Hortons in the UK, but he still gave me it, and I will cherish it forever.
Wonderful.
I feel bad because I didn't really bring anything for them to keep. I brought some British snacks over, but I didn't think to bring like anything like specifically from the UK to give to them. So sorry.
Hmm. Yeah, that's funny. But yeah,
Mm.
don't worry, I have a fraud badge too because if you get a if you're considered a backup runner, like they'll pull your
Oh
run if they
yeah.
have the time for it or need to fill space.
Mm.
You get a runner badge and like the t-shirt and everything for it. But the one time I got backup run, my run did not get pulled, so I was
Oh.
fraudulent too. It was great.
Oh well. No, you still have to like go through all the stress of like thinking I might have to do a run. And I saw
I
some of the
guess.
badges people had were really specific because some were like combination badges, like
Yes.
staff and runner or things like that.
Hmm.
Like, it was really interesting.
Volunteer and runner. Yeah, they have a lot of
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Yeah, it was fun. Oh yeah, what snacks did you bring? I heard a lot of people talk about the great like snack share. So
Oh
I
yes.
gotta ask.
Yeah, I brought some British chocolate. I'm gonna be honest, I tried American chocolate, not that different. Probably
Yeah.
because like Cadbury's got bought by Kraft. I think they're owned by Kraft. I might be
Mm.
wrong. But yeah, it's basically the same, the chocolate. But I did bring some crisps over, what you guys call chips.
Yeah.
But I brought some Tyrrell sweet chili crisps, and people liked them. People like I had people messaging me like, "Damn, I need to find more of those."
Yeah.
Which
I've
was
heard
nice.
good
So yeah,
things.
yeah, it was good.
Yeah, it's funny. Bit of lore about me, but 10 years ago, I was in London for 3 days. So I have been to the UK. Don't remember much about it because again it was 10 years ago. But
Yeah.
I got to kind of experience the area. So I
Mm.
don't know. I don't know how far removed you are from
America.
London, but
I am not massively close to London. It's like
fair enough.
probably a 3-4 hour train journey, something like that.
That's me to
Yeah,
Chicago,
I'm
so
up
I
in the
get it.
north.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, that's fun. Was this your first time in the US?
Yep. Never been.
Oh, that's
So
cool.
it gotta be honest, it was normal.
Yeah.
People drive on the other side of the road. There's American flags. Not that many, to be honest. I was expecting more. Not enough patriotism. But yeah, it was just another place, really. The food was basically the same. The look of everywhere was basically the same. The only thing I will say is that one, I love the air conditioning. I wish we had
Hmm.
that here, because summers are
Understandable.
getting warmer. Two, I am very grateful that most places we went to, they just automatically bring you water to the table. Like you walk in, you
Hmm.
sit down, they're just immediately there with a jug of water. They just leave it there for you. Normally, here, you have to ask for that. And, I'd rather just have it as the default. I don't know if that's a thing everywhere in the US. That might just be the few places I went to happen to do that. But I think they should start doing that in the UK. I would prefer that
Yeah.
because
A
I
lot of
always want
places give you
water.
water, yes. Um,
Yeah,
a lot of places don't like get out the pitcher, but the first thing they'll ask is, "Do you want something to drink?" You say water, they'll grab it real quick. But yeah, some
yeah.
places do just bring a pitcher. It depends.
Mm, yeah.
Um, okay, because other people from the UK I've talked to in the past have brought this up. I gotta ask you about it. Do you find it very weird about how they take your card when you pay?
I specifically avoided
Okay.
paying with card in restaurants. I always paid with cash. One, because I had a load of cash to burn. And if I used card, I would be losing out on money. And then obviously I want to spend as much cash as I can because of the transfer rates,
Yep.
exchange rate, sorry. So I kind of didn't. I think the only times I paid with card were for things in the hotel, which was just the thing that you beep with, and like the odd vending machine, things like that. So I never actually did the whole thing. I saw it happen to other people where, you give them the card, they take it away, they do all that, they do the signature.
Yeah.
But I never did that personally. But yeah, mad weird. I don't know why
Mad
they do
weird.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's just like just bring out the thing to beep. Like, what? Why are you
Yeah,
doing that
yeah.
whole song and dance?
Yeah, no, I know that's a common like what the hell kind of a thing, but
Yeah.
um now here you can correct me if I'm wrong, but when you like order a soda in the UK, you have to ask for ice, right? They don't put it in by default?
Oh, you're asking the wrong person
Okay,
here because
fair.
I do not order sodas ever because I have issues with fizzy drinks.
Okay.
So, like, yeah, no, not really. Like, if I go to a restaurant and I ask for like a Coke or something, it's just going to come with ice, like
Okay.
by default,
Okay.
because they want to like fill it up to use less of
Yes.
the soda, right? But
This is a very
like,
American thing,
yeah.
but I thought I've heard from other people like it's the opposite. But I thought
I
I'd
don't.
ask just out
I
of
don't know. I'm not
curiosity. But
aware of it if that's a thing, or maybe all the
yeah,
places I'm near just give us ice. But yeah, I
yeah.
don't know if that's a
I'm
thing.
a big no ice asker, so I always gotta ask. It's like
Yeah, I
it'd be
guess
nice
if
if it
you
was the
wanted no ice,
default.
you'd probably ask for it. But yeah, I think ice is the default.
Anyway, because you were saying like the U.S. wasn't very patriotic where you were. Trust me, Minneapolis was like the best place you could have visited in the U.S. So,
Right.
like, you lucked out.
There was more patriotism going on at the pre-clearance in Ireland. So I went through US pre-clearance and literally just had massive US flags. And that's mainly just to show you where you need to go for
Okay.
US pre-clearance. But it was very funny just seeing like US flags everywhere and then getting into the US and there wasn't really that much.
Yeah, that's because again, you were in Minneapolis and it's for the best. Trust me, as someone that lives in a little
Mm,
more what you would call a patriotic area.
nice.
Uh
Nice. To be
uh
fair, we have those areas in the UK. There are some like if you go to like mainly like countryside areas, you can find the really patriotic regions,
yes.
like farmers with like the England flags just flying everywhere. And also, if the World Cup is going on, there's going to be flags
Yeah.
everywhere.
And obviously there is a difference there between patriotism and what I'm more alluding to, but at least where I
Hmm.
am, those things kind of connect in ways that aren't
Yeah.
particularly great. But anyway, yeah, Minneapolis. I mean, yeah, you didn't show up until later in the week, right? Because Sunday or Saturday was the 4th of July, so there was a lot of patriotism
uh,
there.
yeah. I don't think I'd be safe as a Brit on 4th of July, you know.
Minneapolis, you'd be fine, probably. Yeah, other
Yeah.
places maybe not. But again, the World Cup was going on, and apparently, from what I heard, luckily, a lot of you know people from different countries that were visiting were treated fairly well for the most part.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, uh, but yeah, I won't get into any other details. But yeah, I think overall, you got
Yeah,
a
I
pretty
think
good
the
experience of what the U.S. can be in the right instances.
Yeah, I think the World Cup match between I think it was England and Norway was happening at the
Mhm.
exact same time as the 120 Task Showcase.
And you still filled the room, so that's how
Yeah, yeah,
important it was.
yeah,
That's funny. But yeah, I've never had or I've been to a lot of GDQs and there's never been like this big like country ride thing happening at the same time. So that was very interesting.
yeah.
Like I've never seen that
Hmm.
bar in lobby area completely full of people just to watch,
Oh
sports.
yeah, yeah.
It's funny. It was a
Mm,
very different environment, but yeah, it was fun. But yeah, I'm glad plenty of people showed up. So
hmm.
yeah. Well, anyway, tangents aside, back into the GDQ thing. I remember people were talking to me because I, been around the GDQ scene for a while and
Hmm.
asking like, people were thinking about submitting the 120 star task. And I kept telling people I didn't think it was going to get in because it was too long because all of their task showcases are like half an hour. Boy,
Yeah,
was
good
I
point. Good
wrong.
point.
I'm glad I
Yeah,
was
I
wrong, but
mean,
boy, was I wrong.
yeah, I kind of like we had this discussion when we were doing the submission because when I was making the submission, I was like, right, okay, I don't know if we're going to get in or not. Let's just submit it, and then if we don't get in, then it's whatever. We'll just figure out another way to release it. And everyone else in that 120 channel was just like, it's gonna get accepted. Like this,
Yeah.
right? It's gonna like there's an automatic acceptance, right? This is like even though it's an hour long, it's the task. Like if you go on task videos and see all the comments regarding the 120 tasks, everyone's just like, this is like the task. This is what everyone's gonna be looking at when they look up a tools as a speedrun. They're gonna look at this run.
Mhm.
There is no way GDQ would ever not showcase that, especially because it's a premiere. We specifically submitted
Mhm.
it under the premise that we are showing this live for the first time. So that gets all the, because we can then hype it up essentially, and they can hype it up and do all that stuff. So I think it was the combination of all that that kind of blended it in the spot they did. Because if we'd already shown it off, I am less convinced they would have given us that slot. They probably
Yes.
would have still shown it, but I don't think they would have given us that slot.
No, if you showed it earlier, I don't think it would have gotten it at all. I think the fact that they premiered it there was
Interesting.
huge. This is an opinion. Again, I was very wrong about
Yeah.
them accepting it at all. I thought they wouldn't, but I don't know why I thought that. I was just dumb. Anyway, yeah, like,
Yeah, it was interesting to showcase it there, mainly because one, I had to fight leaks. I
yes.
think there were. The thing is, right? Realistically, nobody was like actually trying to leak the test. I don't think there was anyone out there that was like doing everything they could to try and sneak the test out. Because one, all of the files were public, so if anyone wanted to do that, they could like create a theory run very easily just by recording all the segments and splicing it together. But we did technically have some leaks. One was from the save states. So the files for a task, you have like the input file, and then you have the save state file. Like if it's a state loaded file, like if it's not loading from startup, it'll load from some save state. The save states store all the inputs up to that save state inside the save state file, as well as like the game data. So if you make a save state in like the 120 task run, and then upload that save state is going to include all the inputs from the 120 tasks. So technically you could go into some of those save state files and just pull out the 120 tasks or most of it. No one noticed, obviously, but that was a thing. Additionally, GDQ kind of leaked it themselves, because on the submission, on the schedule, not the main schedule page, but on the submissions like portal, there was like an accepted runs part. Right click, inspect element, metadata. With all the submissions data, it had like all the original submission data buried in it. It wasn't shown on the website, but it was buried in the data itself. You could just pull the submission link, which was the full task, from that like page. You could just grab the link out of there. The YouTube video is unlisted. So I spotted that, immediately had it, set to private, and then just kind of messaged them later like, hey guys, you might want to fix that. But again, realistically, nobody's going to actually do that. I don't think anyone would have found it, but it was kind of funny.
I will say, in their submission page, if all submissions, you need to include a link for them to watch, all of those links
Yes.
are public. Like, you can click on all of them from
Yeah,
that
we did a
page.
private submission. So the point
Okay.
was it wouldn't be listed on the submissions page.
Got
The
it.
problem was when it went to the schedule page, that's when it didn't like even though it was a private submission, it still had that original metadata in there. It was
Okay.
correctly hidden on submissions, but it wasn't hidden on the schedule page. That was the problem.
Got it. I wasn't actually aware that you could do private submissions, so that's interesting.
Yep.
So that explains why I was unaware. But yeah, for most submission, 99% of them, then, like, all of the submission videos are public things you can go watch.
Yeah.
So all right, I'm glad they have that feature, because yeah, that would have been
Yeah.
interesting. That could have been bad, but I guess it all worked out. So that's good.
Yeah.
And yep, you got the prime slot. Everyone was there.
Yeah.
And then what's nice is, usually when a task is revealed, there's no like commentary unless it's like a whole separate thing. So to have that like live commentated reaction with everyone else in the background reacting. I know this pretty popular comment saying like, at this timestamp you can hear someone just go, "What?" That was me. I watched it back. That was me. So I just commented,
Wow.
"Yep, that was me." Anyway, but
Nice.
it was just such a good experience. The one thing I remember is it was so hard to hear the commentary in the room, because it was just so
Really?
Yeah. Well, I was on the floor.
Yeah, the crowd was on it.
But yeah. Like, I'll have to like watch it back just so I can like hear all the commentary, but like everyone was just talking and reacting, and like the energy was so big in that room that yeah, could not
That's
hear.
exactly what you want. You don't want everyone to be silent listening
No,
to the
no.
commentary. You want everyone to be hyped up, because you can go back and watch that commentary later.
Mhm.
You're there for the vibes. You're there for the experience, the social aspects of being in that room with all these people, like cheering for this thing. And it made it so much more lively. Like, I'm never going to get the chance to do anything like that ever again in my life. This is a one-time thing, and I'm so glad I got to experience it there, just kind of
Mhm.
being there in this room with people that are so hyped up for this thing. It was just great vibes all around. It just made it
Yeah.
such a joy to be on that stage. Because, like, as I said before, being in the back, the green room backstage before going on was peak nerves. As soon as I got in and sat on the chair, like, as soon as I'm going through like all the setup and everything, I'm like, this is great. I'm having a great time. I was watching the other run. I can't remember the
It was
dance
the Rift of
dance
the
of the
Nectar
Dead.
Dancer, right? We're cutting out.
Run of Crab Rave. By the
Yeah.
way, Crab Rave before the 120 tasks, absolute cinema.
Him blindfold. That was so cool. That was so cool.
Yeah, it was amazing. I was like, I'm
It
like
was an
on front row
FC.
seat to this crazy run.
Blindfolded
Yeah, it was
FC
great.
Crab Rave
Like, what
right
the hell? That
before.
was crazy.
It's
Yeah,
so
massive
good.
props to them. That was great.
It was so good. Um,
Yeah.
yeah. Actually, Ted called it out exactly. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I was seeing BBH entry for the first time. I think that's what prompted my what, because I
Oh
don't have like a
yeah.
huge understanding of tasks, but I know
Hmm.
enough about the speedrun to know like when something is fairly new or like unusual,
Hmm.
and that was like, huh? Like I was like,
Yes,
what the hell is
there
that?
are. Yeah, there are a few moments in the tasks that kind of look ordinary to the average viewer, but if you are a seasoned RTA player, you know, like, that shouldn't have
That is
happened.
weird.
The most notable one is probably Mountainside, because that's just
Mm,
like a couple of glitchy wall kicks. It looks fairly standard. But
yeah.
if you are an RTA player, you know that one of those glitchy wall kicks should be impossible. Like, you should not be able to do that. And it's only through shenanigans
Mm.
that that glitchy wall kick actually becomes possible.
Yeah, I was gonna say the obvious one to me was the Princess Secret Slide because you
Oh yeah,
purposely it
yeah.
looks slow RTA because you get the slower time, but because of like Mario's
Yep.
position, it ends up being faster.
Yeah, at the very least, we got to explain that one,
Yes.
whereas there are a lot of tricks that we just don't have time to
Yeah,
explain.
like that did help too. And yeah, it's been pointed out, yeah, I was very like very I don't know the word I'm looking for, but my reactions were quite large, I guess.
Hmm.
Vibrant. But what's
Yeah.
funny is it's hard to see them because with the way the camera was positioned, you perfectly cover me on the ground throughout like the whole video. So it's just really funny how that
Yeah.
worked out.
Yeah, unfortunate positioning there. I mean that's probably the best place to be, so you can just hide away from the camera.
Yeah, I am quite. I know this might come as a surprise given my GDQ history, but I am very camera shy, so it did help out for
Same.
me a little more. Well, yeah, okay, so you understand. But
Yeah, yeah, and I am putting on, when I'm on that stage, I am putting on a persona, because when I
Mhm,
came off that stage and I like walked out into, like, all the, everyone was there waiting to meet us as we walked out of the backstage area.
mhm.
What the heck was that? You weren't acting like this for the past few days. You've been like
Yeah.
hiding in a corner. Like before the run, I spent like most of the day hiding in the practice room away from people. Like, I think I was like just me and the commentators. We were just like kind of, just getting in the zone away from everyone. And even the days before, mainly because of jet lag, but also
Mhm.
just how I am, I was just not massively sociable. I'm not a massively sociable person. So going up there, doing the streamer persona, hyping everything up like to the nth degree, putting on the act, they're getting off. They're like, "What was that, Alex?
Yeah,
You
yeah.
don't act like that."
Well, then you fucking nailed it because yeah,
Mm,
that was really like well
mm.
presented. Like I was very impressed by everything,
There was a
honestly.
lot of practice that went into that between me and the commentators. So we had like a few practice sessions on Discord, and then we had a few in a hotel room the days leading up. So we were literally all just going into like Xander's hotel room and just doing practice commentary in there. Hopefully with no other people in the neighboring rooms getting annoyed. Fingers crossed.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, it was just all around great time, great event, nice to see everyone. My only regret, probably should have gone a few extra days. I thought I
Hmm.
would handle the jet lag better than I did. Like I was very tired for most of the event, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So if I went back, I'd probably go for, most of the events. But just amazing experience all around, both being on stage and meeting everyone in the community. Just I'm never going to be able to do that again, unfortunately, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, that was a very big, like, once in a lifetime kind of thing. Like,
Mm,
I know a lot of people that went to that event that probably would, I go to GDQs every single time because I have an
yeah.
addiction. But uh yeah, a lot of people went that I know that would probably would have never gone before and might never go again
Mm,
just because of that showcase. Because,
yeah.
I'm pretty
It's
active in the community despite doing zero tasking or having any knowledge myself. It's just funny how that
mm,
works out. But yeah, I mean, I can count like at least 6 people, maybe more that, I've either met before or talked to frequently
mm.
online, but this was their first GDQ and might be their last. It was just because the task happened.
Yeah, I think the only other chance you ever have of me going back is probably 70 ABC, but I don't think that
Ooh.
would get in just because I think one, it's looking like pole skip is going to be like it's going to be like a day long task. Like it's going to be
Yeah.
very long, so you can't showcase that on stage without a time skip, and that would probably put them off a bit showcasing it. I still think it
Yeah.
would be a worthwhile showcase, but it makes it makes the timing hard because you have the live timer on stage that would be messed up.
Mm.
Um, and I still think you could hype that up, but it's yeah, it would be difficult to get that now, especially now we've already done the big one, the 120 tasks.
Mm.
Everything's going to be in the shadow of that. I would love for 70 ABC to go there. I wouldn't be the one, on stage commentating it. I would just be an attendee. But I would, if we got people, I'd consider going back.
Yeah.
It's rare that you get to do something like that.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it makes sense. I know it's like there's not as much of a reason for taskers to go because it's a very RTA focused event. Obviously, they have
Yep.
their usual task blocks, but this was like a
Hmm.
very big deal. And
Hmm.
actually, since we were talking about like the submission process, I know a lot of the games committee people did like a little stream talking about when everything was already released, and they were talking about how like yeah, they saw the 120 star tats and they were like, "Yes, absolutely, just instant." So like everyone in the community's like theories were correct. They saw it and were like instantly, "Yes, 100%, we want this."
Yeah, I mean, we had a bit of communication before we submitted it because we needed to check a few things regarding the submission. The one that we could like add improvements, but also that we could showcase it with a pre-recorded video rather than a
Mhm.
console playback because we had issues with like the taskbot playback in the past. We wanted to
Yes,
just
I
play it back with a video, so we checked that before we submitted. And the vibes they were giving us were basically like, we are just going to accept this no matter what.
yes, yeah, yeah.
Like you, this is the 120 task. You are already in. It doesn't matter.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, like if that VOD still exists, I'll have to go find that because I didn't know that was a thing.
Yeah, no, that's good. Yeah, I was in the room, like front row for the ABC showcase last
Oh
year.
yeah.
So I am
Hmm.
very much aware of the technical issues that happened with real console playback. Wait, and it's
Hmm.
funny because I feel like because it was never like brought up specifically unless you were in the know. So
Yep.
and I guess that's fine, but I'm sure a lot of people went in with the assumption that what they saw was real console and not just like
It well, it was still real console. It wasn't. It
yeah,
wasn't an emulator playback. It
sorry,
was just
live
pre-recorded.
live real console, like
Yes.
most task bot
So
showcases are.
yeah, no. Thing is, right? We had Arcombs going, and she offered to do Taskbot Showcase. We said, given what happened in the past, because she'd improved her setup a bit, and we were just
Mhm.
like, still probably too unreliable on a stage. She used GDQ to test her setup, and I believe she had a setup down in like the main games area, playing back the 120 tasks sync with the like live showcase. Like
Mhm.
someone down there just like set it off and it just played it back in real time. So you could like go down there and
Yes.
watch a real console playback while the stream was going on.
Yes, that was set up, and if you had, like, a
Yeah.
whole thing of, like an oscillator of some sort, like, mapping
Oh yeah,
all
yeah.
electrical data going on to see if
Yep.
there were any interruptions just in case. It was, like, a
Yeah.
whole big thing. It was really interesting.
Yeah. At the end of the day, you can't replicate the on-stage setup. Like you can replicate in like
Mhm.
in that room, but any EMI interference is just going to be different on that stage with all that gear. So,
Yeah.
you can get as good data as you can, but there is always going to be that unknown factor. And we thought for the 120 tasks, better to just not risk it.
Yeah, I mean, it worked out, just didn't bring attention to
Mhm.
it, and but, like, I if anyone asks, it's like, yeah, that was just, uh,
Yeah.
pre-recorded footage of a real console still, but it wasn't, like, live real console playback that they usually do,
Yep.
but it's just
We
nice to
made sure
clarify
to
that.
hide the yeah, we made sure to hide the VLC UI. That was half the
Ah,
battle. We did
nice.
all the setup in backstage where I think it was like Xander and Ted helping me out, like looking up all the VLC instructions on like how to configure it to hide the UI at all times. Yeah,
So, GDQ was a success. Good times all
yep,
around, sounds like. So, yeah. And, yeah, that video, it's one of their most viewed VODs from, the past event.
yeah. I
I
think
think
it's top
Balattro's
three.
number 1 right now, but yeah, it's like
Yeah,
2nd or 3rd place, so people
yeah.
like it.
Yeah, that's great to it's great to see that a task can reach such high levels in what is an RTA event.
Mhm. If you want a little fun story, I remember when the schedule it was either when the games list or the schedule came out, but I happened to be looking at Blue Sky and you can like choose different feeds. So I was looking at like a speed run or like GDQ centric feed or whatever. And
Yep.
someone had made an article saying like this task was submitted. Is GDQ falling off or like it was something being like, you
uh,
know, some random fuck ass article like talking about you know passing, like, you can't have this at GDQ. It was some, like, no one cares about publisher, I'm sure, but
can't even fill the schedule with real speedrunners, the
yeah, but they
losers.
were
They're just
like
grabbing anyone off the.
it was, like, legitimately, like, bashing that the acceptance, like, why are they accepting this I'll have to, like, see if I can find it, but I was just like, "Are
Yeah.
this is" they don't know this is gonna be, like, one of the most hype things they show, and you
Yeah,
obviously
yeah.
proved
They
that.
don't.
But yeah, there's just some random fucking thing happened to see online, but I don't think anyone actually read that. I just randomly saw it.
Yeah,
Like the
it's
post
funny.
had 0 likes or it just happened to be there, but that's what they get. Yeah, true. There used to be a lot more tasks, but we're bringing it back, you know. That was hype.
Yeah.
People liked it.
There
Um
were other task submissions that got rejected
mm,
because 120 tasks, like no one else had a chance. Sorry,
yeah,
sorry,
unfortunately.
Factorio. It looked like a good showcase. I don't know much about Factorio, but it looked like you put a lot of effort into it. It seems like another multi-year project, but unfortunately, you picked the wrong event to submit.
There's
No fault of
always
your own.
next time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's hard to get tasks in because, they
Hmm.
only set aside like maybe an hour,
Yep.
usually even half an hour for tasks, which is why
Hmm.
I was even like, but nope, they were like, yep, frame one, you got it, prime
Yeah, I
time,
don't
good luck.
expect them to make that room for a task. Like, I think it's still nice to have like one or two task showcases just to kind of, have that representation of tasking. But like, I don't
Mhm.
expect them to be making room for tasks because at the end of the day, it's an RTA event. People are there to see people play the games,
Mhm.
and every time you show a task, it's like, oh, what's this? Why is a robot playing the game? So I get
Yeah,
it. But
this
yeah,
was an
it's nice that we got one in
important
there.
yeah, this was an important exception, I think. Everyone can understand
Yes.
that. Um
Yeah.
Well, speaking of, this was such a big deal because it had been so many years from the previous tasks. And I know we were going to go kind of into more detail about the previous tasks and, why it took this long. I know we went into some
Mhm.
details, but like what the original or the last task was How many years? Like, what year did it come out?
It came out towards the end of 2012.
Yeah, so 14 years, or a little under 14
Mhm.
years,
Yep.
which is wild. I remember, well, I don't remember because I wasn't there, but people have talked about like the test before that, it was beaten RTA by this point by even a few minutes now, but obviously
Yeah.
no one's going to beat a 120 star run. And now this
Yeah.
is a 6 minute improvement, a little over 6 minutes even. So what
7 minutes
was,
on console.
yeah. So, what was the original, sorry, not original, but the 1 hour 20 minute task, like the 14 years ago run, like how
Mhm.
optimized was that for the time?
It was decent for the time. So it has an interesting story in that in 2012, a similar problem happened to what we were having in that what I believe, I'm just going off what I've heard. I wasn't there,
Mhm.
obviously, but the Japanese tasking scene at the time were trying to make like an optimal 120 task, but they kept restarting for new improvements. So some people in the Western SM64 community, the English speaking community, were just like, okay, we're just going to take the stuff from like the Japanese testers have worked on. We're going to just quickly task some of the 100 coin stars to fill it in, and we're just going to make a run as fast as possible. Just to like blitz it out. And I believe they did it over the course of just a few months or so, like really quickly. And you can see like all of their progress videos on YouTube still. I can see like the individual 100 coin stars they were making like from scratch, like as they went. And they just kind of blitzed it all out as fast as they could. And even still, there were old improvements. So they were specifically operating under the premise of, right, we're not going to restart, we're just going to get it out, and then it's done. And
Mhm.
then the Japanese community can then work on that more optimal task whenever they get round to it. So that was kind of how the 2012 task came to be. So it wasn't, obviously, it was far from perfect, but for the time, it was still fairly strong because it could utilize those like very strong tasks from the other communities and then just pull in the 100 coin stars, which were a bit weaker. It had a few hexing mistakes in it as well. Some of the menus weren't optimal, things like that. But overall, it was solid enough for the time. Had loads of crazy strats. Obviously, massively better than Riku's tasks, like way better.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, and then after 2012, community died down for a bit. Obviously, the Japanese whips never came to be. That never happened. And then kind of it was only around 2017 that I think there may have, I don't know if there are any other whips that I just don't know about that are lost to time. Maybe people more in the know of the community at the time can speak on that. But mainly or so when Plush kind of really picked up the 120 task project again and was like, right, I'm going to do everything sequentially. But the issue was that he was operating at a very glacial pace. Like he was tasking very meticulously, constantly going back to improve things, tasking at a very slow pace. BOB hundreds was a notorious one in 2020. That was like a year-long project to do that
Hmm.
because the tasking tools at the time were a lot worse, a lot more primitive, should I say. So that took a long time to get out the door. And then come 2021, the motivation had died down. A lot of people left the community around 2021, 2022. So there was kind of no one really left to pick it up at that point. I do have an old YouTube comment from Plush where he asked me to pick up the 120 tasks. And I
Mhm.
said no, because I was not ready at the time to take on that sort of thing. Too big of a project. And after 2021, that was when brute forcing started to really become a thing. And once we started developing those task tools over the next few years, and I kind of like over the next few years, I started like picking out a few 100 coin stars. A few other people did a few of the 100 coin stars, because before that point, there was only like a few of the 100 coin stars that would been done. So there were still these massive like mini projects essentially that needed to be done before we could make another 120 tasks. But this new brute forcing stuff made it more feasible to task the 100 coin stars and then sync them after the fact. Not fully automatically, but reduce the amount of work you'd have to do manually. So this we could sort of now achieve this higher bar. Suddenly, so the task still wasn't progressing. Well, it was progressing in the sense that we were doing these individual courses, but no one was making a full task yet. And the reason one person to do. And there were all these talks of like, oh, let's do a new 120 task. We've got the stuff to do for it, all that. But no one was really, taking the initiative of being the leader. And I was like getting towards the end of 2024. I was just sort of over it by that point. I was sick of all the constant, oh, let's make the 120 task, and then nothing happens. It just happens over and over again. So I kind of just snapped, and I went into the 120 channel, and I made this long post, and I was basically saying, right, now or never, either we do the 120 task right now, or I'm never going to attempt it ever. Like, I'm just going to give up on this project. And so I basically started like pinging people saying like, right, I don't want you to just say like, oh, it'd be nice if we did this. I want you to open MooPen and start tassing right now, like literally today. Like no putting off, no creating plans for the future. You are going to open MooPen and task right now, and you are going to keep doing it until the task is done. So I kind of just laid that all out. And eventually people started biting. Like after like talking people into it, I think like El Batito was the first person, I think, to bite on this, and he said like, right, I'm gonna do JRB, I think it was JRB hundreds. I was like, right, great, do that. I'm gonna do THI hundreds, and we're just gonna go from there, and we're just gonna keep going. We're just going to keep doing these things because I knew I had the tools at this point to sync everything together. It was just getting the motivation to task these remaining big mini projects, these missing 100 coin stars, like JRB hundreds and Wet Dry World hundreds, THI, redoing Womp's Fortress hundreds, TTC, all of TTC, because that needed to be done from scratch because of the hyper jump strategy. So yeah, that was kind of that was the push, and the momentum. I made sure the momentum never really died down. Like once 100 coin star was finished, it was on to the next 100 coin star, and on to the next one, and on to the next one until we had everything. And I laid out the plan of 1, do all the 100 coin stars. 2, get any last minute like optimizations and improvements we want to get in, and do any like syncing prep we need to do. 3, sync the entire task. 4, lag reduction on the finished task. 5, show off at GDQ. That was the blueprint. And we just sort of stuck to that. And it was a success. We got it done.
Yeah. So it was what, just under 2 years from like start and then finish.
Yeah, we started hexing, like as in like creating the final file around the end of 2025, and then that finished around March. And then from there it was just lag reduction.
Wow. And so obviously a lot of the like single star or like courses were already kind of done. It was just piecing them together and then finishing the longer stuff.
Yeah, redoing the 100 coin stars, getting the RNG in there, syncing it all together. And yeah, that was basically.
Yeah, I'm on Discord. You can do
I basically wasn't tassing. I was.
Hold on, we're cutting out. Oh, we back? You can't. No, not yet.
Is it done?
No, it's still hicking me in a little bit, but I think it's trying to reconnect. Oh, there we go.
I'm just gonna keep moving my hand in a circle here until it's back.
Oh man, tech is great, but yeah,
yeah.
So, it all came together, and then now it's done, and will never be improved again.
No, there are certainly no known improvements, and there will never be any known improvements. It's perfect. We got it perfect, and we never have to do anything ever again.
Yeah, it's great. Got it all done.
Yep.
But for real, I know you were saying that like maybe half a second was known about when it was made public, which is not a lot. What is it at now?
It's about 2 or 3 seconds at this point.
All right.
Something like that.
So we're almost at 113.
Probably like if you redid it now with the new improvements, and you probably like just maybe if you squeezed out a little more in a couple of other areas, I think on mono at least, mono audio, because mono audio is slightly less lag than stereo audio. It's about 1:14:03 on mono. But if you add the new improvements, you could probably just squeak out a 1:13:59. Obviously, problem is when we made the tasks, we didn't know what the final time was going to be because one, we didn't have all the lag reduction stuff in, we didn't have any of the data. We just had like the emulator times.
Mm-hmm.
So it finishing at 1:14:04 was just like, okay, that's the time, I guess. There's nothing we can really do about that. But it is funny. 14:04 is 4444 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
And then 4444.44 is within sort of the confidence interval because it's not an exact time because console isn't deterministic on the time. Sometimes it lags a bit more. Sometimes it can change a bit of the rate it's playing back, things like that. So there's a bit of a band where the time sits in, and 4444.44 is in that band. So I just decided, forget it. We're not going to do any like further testing. I'm just going to say the task is 4444.44 seconds because it's funny,
That is
and that's just
funny.
the final time now. Like I mean, if you have a range of times, you just have to pick one. So you know.
I mean, it works out. That is
Yep,
like wild that it comes to that just coincidentally, because
it was all planned.
it was all planned. Because it wasn't like
Yeah.
the one key task or something at 1.420.69.
It skipped over 420.69, but then someone went back and intentionally made like a 420.69 task, even though
I
I
see.
think
Yeah.
technically, well, actually no, because it runs at a different refresh rate. It's like, yeah, 59.828 or something. So I don't know if 420.69 is like a valid time or not, but yeah,
Mhm.
420.69, someone made it. It was great.
Yep. That's important for the history
Yep.
books. So I understand.
Yes.
So just really interesting that all these prominent Mario 64 tasks just fall on these really like funny time values.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
So it all works out. Plus the like kind of big one key strategy is helpful for the 120 tasks.
Yeah. I
It's
mean,
interesting.
it's interesting in the sense that I'm not 100% certain it's faster. I only like it was
Mhm.
tested by Plush years ago, and probably a few other people. Like, and it was very close. It was probably within a second or two from what I remember. But I never confirmed that recently. But
Hmm.
I think with the new improvements to MDS, it's pretty much almost certainly faster to do that. Uh, Close compared to fighting Bowser One.
Yeah. No, that was really cool because it was the first time in a 120 star task you don't fight Bowser 1. And it's fine because you don't need the key. Really
Mm,
interesting that that strat just also works for 120. But you know, I mean, there's a lot of cool moments. I mean, obviously, I just recommend anyone watch it if they haven't somehow, even though I'm sure everyone and their mother has watched it at this point. It was pretty good, pretty
yeah.
important. But yeah, and it's nice to have all the, the live commentary. I know you can't describe everything, but that's where I'll actually shout out Bismuth here, who is releasing
Oh yeah.
a full, like, thorough explanation on everything over the coming. I assume it's
That's
going to
gonna
be a long
take.
project, but yeah.
Oh my god! I mean, the thing is, he started it. I don't know if I should say this, but he started it a while ago, but then had to take a break from it, and
Mhm.
now like it's kind of we kind of finished the task faster than I think he expected. So now he's kind of only got like he's still working on like what was originally part one, which is now part two, because he kind of put the VCOM stuff like as its own individual like teaser part essentially.
Mhm.
That is going to take a long time to come out.
Yeah.
I am worried for Bismuth. I have to apologize to Bismuth because I forgot to shout him out on GDQ stage. I was supposed to shout him out and I didn't. I'm sorry.
Well, I mean, I feel like that's, expected just because it's live. There's so
Yeah,
many things
yeah,
going on.
yep.
Like, yeah, some things are gonna happen, but I mean,
Yeah, we were very like by that point we were just so like, oh my gosh, there's so much information, so much stimulus. We just need to get off this stage right now. We
mhm.
are all completely spent.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Luckily with Bismuth, I mean, he's popular enough, and
yep.
especially in the community, people are gonna watch the videos and be interested
Hmm.
anyway. So
Yeah.
I don't think it's a big deal that you forgot. I mean, obviously. it is what it is. No one's gonna be upset about it, I don't think. But yeah, so we'll shout it out here. That that's why I'm doing it,
Yep.
right?
Yeah.
We can make up for it here. But yeah, when I
Yeah.
first saw actually when he first released the first video and it said like part one, I thought he was gonna do a video each star, and I was like, oh my god. But then in the video he describes like part one is star
Yeah.
one, but then I plan on doing this group and then this group and then this group, and it makes a little more sense. But
Mhm.
that'd be really funny.
Yeah, part one was originally going to be up to the end of CCM, but time
Mhm.
constraints. He wanted to get something out with the release of the task, so he
Yeah, that
just
makes
cut that
sense.
off.
Okay, that makes sense because I know a lot of the comments were like, "Wow, part one of 120," but no, like
Yeah,
it's not quite
it's
that
going to be a
way.
lot.
But I mean, he can do long projects. Obviously, he did all the parts for the ABC history and then made the full, however long video that ended up being like 6 hours or whatever. I really wonder how long this video would be if he decides to do the same
I
thing.
feel when we first started talking about this project, I was like, oh, it's not going to be 6 hours. But now that he's actually working on it, it's going to be longer than 6 hours.
Oh boy.
It's like if I have my way, it's going to be like 15 hours. But I think he's going to have to trim out a lot of stuff just because there is, even for him, there is too much.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking there's so much to go into 120 star. I mean, it's obvious by any piece of like tasking
Yeah.
content consumed. Like
Even I can't explain all of it.
yeah, I mean, obviously I've watched Panin for a while and you watch like one Panin video about getting one star and it's like a 30-minute thorough explanation of like
Yep.
college level information. And it's like this is a 120 star task. Dear God.
Oh boy. I mean,
Yeah.
some stars are easy because the thing is, right, once you've explained the basics of like SM64 movement, that's kind of like half the battle. From there, it's just like core specific tricks. But once you've got like, your standard BLJs, your hyperspeed wall kicks, all that stuff, you don't need to re explain that. Like most of the stars are using the same tricks.
Hmm.
And you don't need to repeat yourself as much. So generally, there's only a couple of stars per course where you need to go into detail, and the rest is just sort of like, okay, it's just this, this, and this moving on.
Hmm.
So hopefully it shouldn't be too bad. I think you can get it into like a 6 to 8 hour range, something like that. But yeah, it'll be fine.
Okay. Because yeah, I'm a little worried, but I mean, if anyone could do it, it's him again with the ABC history video was a success. So
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it because, like, again, I hang in the community a bit, but I know nothing when it comes to
Hmm.
technical details. So that's gonna be like my way of trying to genuinely understand what the hell I'm looking at. So
I mean, history. Like I kind of just, I'll be honest, I had it off on.
oh, Discord.
It was still like really interesting to get that glimpse into the ABC.
Yeah, man. I blame British internet. I was allowed to do that. All right.
Did it cut out again? Are we
Yeah,
back?
a little bit.
Yeah, I was just saying, like, I had the same feeling for the ABC history showcase in that I got to see the ABC work that I don't really touch and don't really understand.
Okay. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, again, part of the community I hang out in still don't understand a damn thing about it. Actually, I don't understand a damn thing about ABC. There's a retro achievements set for the A button challenge. I have mastered it. So I've done like every star in Mario
Huh.
64 in like, 5 or less A presses or
Oh,
whatever's like
nice.
considered like RTA viable for
Yeah,
like.
yeah.
So I've done all that. I still don't know how any of it works. I just were pushing
Mm,
buttons and knew how to push them at the right
yeah.
time to do it. But when you get into the technical details, especially like TAS only things that are like very obviously TAS only, it's like, oh my god, so much goes into it. So
Yeah.
yeah, not for my brain. I mean, I'll try to understand it, but like, I'll
Mhm.
be honest, yeah, even a lot of like informative videos I'll watch, but I'll come out of it like I still don't know what the hell anything is. But
Yeah.
that's more skill issue on my
That's
part at that
kind of
point. So,
why. Okay, I'm gonna say something horrific here. I
uh-oh.
don't like watching TASes,
Mm,
specifically TASes of other games, because I don't know what's going on. I'm just seeing things happen on the screen here.
yeah.
Like anything could be going on. This isn't like I don't have any frame of reference to understand this, so I don't really care.
Hmm.
Which is very funny for me to say. But yeah, it's weird. Like, as a casual, you can just kind of sit down and enjoy the funny things that happen. Oh, Mario's doing the funny hyperspeed now, whatever.
Hmm.
But for me, I'm kind of just like, I don't really just want to watch a series of stuff. I want to understand it. So
Hmm.
the Bismuth series are kind of much more appealing to me because I get to actually like understand what's going on rather than just seeing things happen and that's it.
Yeah, when I watch a task, it's usually on a game I'm already familiar with or have played, so I
Yep.
can be a little more like, oh, that's, abnormal and
Mm.
interesting. But yeah, I wouldn't like watch a task on a game I don't understand because I would need some sort of context. Which is again, what's
Yeah.
nice about like the GDQ showcases is they do have live commentary usually. Like if you're just
Hmm.
watching a test videos video, if you want additional information, you have to like read the author notes, and gamers
Yeah.
don't read, so you can forget about that happening. So
I've not put very detailed notes on the task video submission. I've just linked Bismuth and I've just put like a
yeah,
few high level explanations. I'm just like,
yeah,
I am not explaining all 120 stars in this submission. It's not happening.
yeah, exactly. So it's nice to have like some sort of footage you can look at with more detailed explanations.
Hmm.
Because yeah, I think there are some people that can just watch any test and be like, "Huh, that was cool," but
Yeah.
I do think there's a good handful of people that like
The
want more
crowd
context.
hypes it up enough. Like
Yeah.
yeah, I think because you have a crowd just cheering every time something happens. Like it doesn't matter if
Hmm.
you don't really understand it. It is the vibe. The vibes. We're all,
Yeah.
it's great. We're having a great time. The commentary was there to kind of give a high level overview as well, which
Hmm.
helps.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, we can't explain all the technical details on that stage. So you are just there for the experience of cheering for Toad and,
Yeah.
seeing the new tasks.
Yeah, I think Mario 64 works out perfectly for this because most people have played it,
Mm.
and again,
Yeah.
people are gonna want to watch tasks of games they're familiar with, even if they don't have the thorough
Yeah.
explanations. But you also have like, basic thorough explanations live, which again adds to it. So I think that was like the perfect like task and showcase thing for people to be interested in.
Hmm.
So it all works out,
Hmm.
and
Yeah, you have the frame of reference of the RTA at least. So if
mhm,
you're familiar with RTA runs, you can kind of have something to go off of as like, oh, the RTA person does this and the task is going to do this instead.
mhm. Yeah. So yep, it was good. The crowd was very loud. So I
Yes.
still need to like go back and watch because as I was saying earlier, I couldn't really hear the commentary because first I'm on the floor and second it's the energy is so much in that room that it's just like, and I was yapping a lot too with people like what I was very animated. So
Yeah.
yeah, I missed a lot of the like actual commentary. So I'll have to go back and
Mm,
give it a thorough watch. I haven't done it yet, but
yeah.
yeah, no. Being in that room was very, very fun. Like I was happily floor gang. Like I, I've been floor gang a few times, but I'm always happy to be floor gang because it just means I care, I guess.
Yeah.
All right. I'm trying to think of what else to get into. I guess if Chad has any like other specific things you would want us to go in detail while we're here, but
Oh.
I mean, I obviously don't want it to go into like the high level explanations of like
Oh, I'll
tricks
do
and
the frame
tasks
by
or
frame
whatever. Frame by
analysis.
frame
We'll be here all
analysis.
night.
Yeah, like that's why I'm like shouting out the Bismuth video, and I'll ask like where if you want more information, like go here, here, here at the end and whatnot. But I think in like just general overview information and your specific history with getting into tasking everything, I think I've covered most of everything that I can think
Yeah,
of
I
to
think so.
ask. So yeah, okay. Favorite parts of the new task for you?
See,
Oh, we're gonna cut out now. Thanks,
parts
Discord.
because I like the parts that one I made and two are technically interesting. Like I said, Mountainside is a star that looks pretty normal, but has a lot of technical detail that I'm like really happy with. So it looks like another star to everyone else, but to me it means a lot more. Other things, I like how Wet Dry World Hundreds turned out. Shoutouts to Kieran for the 10k find. That was a combination of a lot of different people coming together, plus Scattershot, a healthy mix of all these different people collaborating. It really felt like a really good start. I love the strat in that. It's just a great one. Yeah, I mean, other things. I'm surprised how popular SSL hundreds was. That seems
Oh
to be the other
yeah,
most watched part.
people love
I mean,
hyperspeed flying. Come on now.
yeah, that's a funny story because I tasked that kind of at the end of a break because I like took a break at the end of 2023 or something, and or maybe 2022, I can't remember. But kind of coming back, I was like, okay, I specifically like wasn't announcing that I was working on anything, so I kind of just was like, okay, I have as much time as I want to work on this. So I picked SSL hundreds because it was something I started working on ages ago but dropped. And I dropped it because I was kind of just doing the original 2012 route of just going through the first half normally. But I was thinking, okay, maybe you can do it with hyperspeed, but I didn't want to do it at the time because I thought it was just too much effort to figure that out. But I was like, okay, I'm on a break. I have loads of time. I'm just gonna work on this. I'm gonna give it a go and see how it goes. And it ended up working out. And that's public on my channel, so it wasn't a surprise for people that were following tassing. That was a fully known strat. It was basically the same as that video. There were a few minor optimizations added. I think Kieran found something with a slope on the inside of the pyramid. That was cool. But otherwise, it was basically the same task. The first half was more or less the same, just with different RNG. But apparently, people really liked it, and I'm glad because it's a very cool strat. I love the pokey sniping; it's great, love it. But it was a lot more popular than I expected it to be because there are other hyperspeed moments in the run. I thought those would get more attention.
Yeah, I think it was just like very obvious, with like the routing to get everything. Like, and it was pretty early into the task, so I think that helps too.
Yeah, it's about
So
the halfway point.
yeah, so it was like a big plus like that star is like notoriously difficult and slow RTA. I
Mm,
think that helps a bit too. But yeah,
okay.
99% of people that are watching this task haven't watched your
Yep.
video. So like to like
Yep.
most people watching this is a brand new thing to them. So I think
Mm,
yeah, it was definitely a highlight for me too, just because of how wild it looks. And again, being
mm.
familiar with like how RTA players do it and how slow and tedious it is. Just like, oh, okay, that just happened.
Yeah, it's a complete deviation, isn't it?
It is incredible. So yeah, some good highlights for sure.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think of the fact that a video with mountainside in it will now be your most viewed video?
Yeah, great. Unfortunately, people aren't watching the 120 task for Mountainside. I am okay with this. It's fine. I can live with it. It's my little niche thing. I don't really care that no one else cares. It's fine. But yeah, I will be happy once Bismuth gets to explain it. That's when
Yeah,
I'll be happy.
because yeah, I remember seeing that and being like, "Huh? You can't do that." But
Yeah,
yes, you
it's because you're
can.
doing the glitchy wall kick while hugging the wall. That's the detail. Because
Yeah.
normally you have to do the triple jump from the side. But because we do that setup with the first glitchy wall kick, you're constantly hugging the wall. So that's where the technical details come in. And yeah, it's a great strat. And, it's great.
Stay tuned for the Bismuth video in like 2 years when we get to that point.
Yep.
But yeah,
Yeah, probably that's a realistic timeline.
yep. And then most improvable areas in the task.
Well, all the parts that have already been improved for
Yes, of
starters.
course. I know
But
Wing Mario over the Rainbow was a big one.
yep. All the 100 coin stars. Maybe okay. The Cooper, the quick one, like BOB hundreds probably isn't as much, but it's probably still something there to improve with the Cooper minute. There's probably some theoretical best Cooper minute, but we'd never know.
Mm.
Snowman's Land hundreds, all the stars with swimming in them. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that's improvable. Did what I could with the time. I kind of just said, right, here's the amount of time I want to allot on these things, and I'm just going to do what I can, and then I'm going to move on because I spent about a year trying to optimize Tower of the Wing Cap. I'm not doing that for every star, much less the swimming stars, because I don't. Tassing swimming is so boring. So
How the
Yeah,
wing
I just
cap was
kind
so
of
cool with the swirl at the start.
yeah. Shouts to Eru for that one.
Oh, that was fun. But yeah, I mean, as we've already mentioned, like the task is a 114.04, and we're thinking like at the like very best currently 3 weeks later, we're looking at maybe a 113.59. So
Yeah, I mean, over the next few years, you never know. Some because
mhm,
if you're thinking like big strats that can save things, sign clip on its own saved like 20 seconds or so, whatever it was.
mhm,
The TTC hyper jump strat probably saved like 15 seconds as well. The 100 coin stars all save like a lot of them save like 10 plus seconds. The PU strats save like several minutes probably in
mhm,
total, all of those. So who knows? The problem is we know a lot more about the game now, especially with decomp.
mhm.
So there's less room for new finds. But I think in terms of like routing, at least, there's probably still loads of room for new strats to come out. Especially with 100 coin stars, you could probably come up with brand new 100 coin routes that save 5+ seconds, maybe. Who knows? But there probably is a bit more of a limit now, unless there's some major glitch that completely breaks the game. Like, for example, canceling Star Dance so you can do so you don't have to exit the course. Like, if you found that, that would be a game changer.
Mhm.
But you know, or Ace, but Ace would be its own category
Yeah.
anyway.
Mhm.
But who knows where it might be? Could you get under 113? I'm hopeful you could get under 113. I don't know how much further it goes than that. I don't know if you get under like 110, for example. Probably not 1 hour without a
Yeah,
ridiculous
no.
game-changing find. But it will continue going down, and I want it to keep going down. I want to see what the
Mhm.
limit is. We'll never find the limit, but we can
Yeah.
get as close as we can. That's the job.
Yeah. Um yeah, this is probably going to be like the last big 120 star test too because 14
Mm.
years saved 6 minutes. You're probably not going to save another 6 minutes realistically. So like
Yeah, unless
even if
something
you get a
crazy
112 or
happens.
something to the casual observer, that's
Yeah.
not going to be as interesting as a time cut.
Yeah, yeah, it's a shame, really, because I
Yeah.
mean, if a new task comes out, a lot of it might be using the same strats, and it
Mhm.
might not be as interesting. I'd hope most of the 100 coin stars would be different, but yeah, it's one of them.
but I do think it just came out at the perfect time, got the perfect showcase, and it
Hmm.
all worked out pretty well.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you could change anything about the tasks.
Well, there's two questions. It's like change within the task itself, or change within the process of making longer on castle stuff. Probably there's always more work on the 100 coins. I can spend forever on those. Maybe try and clean up the swing because I think it can be done better, and I kind of just didn't allocate enough time to work on it.
Mhm.
So maybe put myself through that, but that would be torture because I don't like it.
Yeah.
In terms of the process, one, I should have given more time to lag reduction. That's my fault. I kind of both underestimated it and assumed they'd only work on the laggiest parts, but they wanted to work on everything. I didn't give them enough time to do that. Otherwise, I think other than that, I'm happy with how everything went. To be honest, the process was smooth. We stuck to the schedule I originally intended from the beginning, and everything went according to plan. So I don't think I'd change anything about the process of making the tasks itself.
Mhm. So very satisfied with the results of everything that's
Yeah,
happened.
yeah, it'll always be improvable, but that's
Mhm.
inevitable. I expect that. That's what I went in assuming. So I I got it as good as I wanted it to be, and I want people to try and improve it because there are a lot of those stars that I kind of just test myself on my own, and I'm far from perfect. So I want to see how people can do things better.
Yeah.
Um, that okay? You're mentioning Lethal Lava Line 100 there, Ted. I am the doubter of the hyperspeed strat on the wing cap. I don't think it's going to be faster. Prove me
Mm.
wrong.
All right. We got a
I don't think it's
challenge.
ever going to be faster. I am a doubter. I'm a massive doubter.
We've got a
That
challenge for all
I
castles here.
like yeah, because I considered that. I knew that was like potentially a thing. I knew about the sign redirects, but I was like, no way this is faster. I'm not even going to investigate it. Prove me wrong.
All
Like
right. Well,
I'm having it on record here. It's not going to be faster. Prove me wrong.
well, there we go. Um, crap, I lost my train of thought. I had something good to ask. I know I did, but now I'm thinking about
Oh
LOL
no.
hyperspeed flying or whatever.
Uh,
Because it would look
no,
cool.
Ted, you've ruined everything.
God damn it, Ted. He always does this. No. um, God, come on, brain. You can do it. 'Cause we're talking about the task being done. Very happy, good. God, no, it's not coming to me. Unfortunate. What next? We'll get to that. That's like the final question, Ted. I was already thinking about that. Oh, actually, something I meant to bring up earlier. Because I know mono audio saves frames over stereo. Did was the test made in stereo or audio? You made it sound like it kind of did.
Yep, we chose stereo in the end. It was an arbitrary decision. I was just
Hmm.
like, oh, stereo audio is higher quality. Let's use that. I think if it was sub 114 on mono, I probably would have picked mono just so we could say we had the sub. But
Hmm.
because it's only a second difference, I didn't really care. I was
Okay,
just
it's
like,
a
whatever,
second.
let's just use stereo.
Okay, because that was just interesting to me to like not because it's such an obvious like free time save to
Well, you
just not
have
do it.
to, do it and then kind of reset. I know you can kind of like go into the menu and do it while you're playing, but as far as I'm concerned, like, is that the default? I'm assuming stereo is the default
It
setting. I don't really know,
probably
but
is. Oh, I
so
didn't
I'm
think
just
about
like,
that.
okay,
Do you have to like when you start a like tasks in that way, do you have to like start from like never having like touched the game before so you can't like go into the setting and change it and start from
I don't know. So
Oh,
I just
okay.
like, I was just keeping it stereo. It's fine.
Okay. Because yeah, that's something I didn't consider because I
Yeah,
know
because if I had to do that, the task would be in the bin because it would desync the global timer and everything would
yes,
break. So I
that
couldn't
that
like
I'm
change that
aware
at the
like
start of
if
the
you
run.
had already done the task in stereo and then changing it to mono, I know it would
Yeah.
desync. But I just meant like if you started on mono at the start, but
Mm.
obviously that'd be one thing. But now I'm trying to remember how because task videos has like strict rules about like how much you can
Yeah, I
manipulate the
have no
game
idea.
in the beginning. So it's like that's something I just didn't even consider. Because yeah, at that point obviously it'd be slower to like go into the menu, change it to mono, and then start the run. So I don't know.
Yeah.
That's interesting. But I know obviously for RTA, I know Ted's the one that told me you got to play in mono for the free time save. It matters so much. So, I do it. But
Nice.
I just found that interesting because like
Hmm.
thinking from my perspective, it's a free time save, but there's like
Mm.
complicated nuances as to why it was not implemented. So
Yeah.
I don't know. Just an interesting thought. Um, but yeah, I think that was all of the questions. So I guess we can wrap things up. Unless is there anything you specifically want to go over that we didn't cover that you could think of?
Um, I don't think there's anything regarding the task. I know Ted asked what's next,
Yes,
which is a very
I will get
broad.
into that. Don't worry.
Yeah, we'll get to that. But
That'll
I don't think there's anything. Oh, there's anything related to the task, to be honest, because it's all going to be explained by Bismuth. I mean, the
Mhm.
history, I would say if you want to know the history, check the Discord logs. That's the best
The
thing you can do. You
Discord
can
log.
see exactly how every improvement happened. You can see us bouncing back and ideas back and forth in those Discord logs. Like if you go into 120, go to messages from like a year ago, you can see us making all those 100 coin stars. Like it's great. Go read those messages if you care. It's interesting to
Yeah.
see how that final product, all the different strats we didn't consider, and how we arrived at that final product.
Oh. Oh, the timing method on last input. Oh yeah, that is a thing. Like timing starts on power on and ends on last input for test videos.
I mean, I don't really care what task videos rules are. Me personally, I don't like it because I consider no input to still be an input for one. Like if you're doing
Hmm.
nothing, that's still technically an input because the old task ends by diving into the star and the file ends on the dive. You could pause, like
Hmm.
you just pause and then you never get the star. Like,
Yeah,
and then
fair.
even still, you're trying to trigger the cutscene. If you grab the star launching into the air, then that's going to delay the start of the end credits because you have to then fall back down before you land again. So
Mm,
technically, the task could end with the jump into the star, but I spend one extra frame doing a ground pound so we land faster. And
mm.
that's technically one extra frame that's unnecessary on the last input. But I think that's better because it triggers the credits faster. Like that's the
Mm.
whole point.
No, I
So
get
I
that.
mean,
Yeah.
it's just technical detail. I don't really care, but I specifically timed it like that. So I timed it for when Mario lands from collecting the star. That was my cutoff point. But
Okay. I
people
mean,
can
either
argue
way,
about
it's
timing. I don't really care.
yeah. Either way, it's 114.04, which so it's like
Yep.
it's not a second difference. So I mean, it
Very
doesn't matter.
happy that GDQ's like them doing the manual timer. They also got
Oh
114.04,
yeah,
which is nice because then it
they
appears
were
in
on it.
the title and everything. So good job, GDQ.
Yeah, because well, luckily, because it was all planned out in advance, you probably told them like this is when you start the timer and this is where you end the timer. So it
Nope.
oh no.
Nope. I
Oh,
did
so they
not
just
tell them
nailed
that.
it.
They
All
just
right.
nailed it. They
All
got it.
right.
Yeah.
No,
Good job, them.
props because
Yeah.
there have been like get for at least for RTA things getting like exact timer cutoffs is a little harder because sometimes
I
people
mean,
aren't obvious like this is when timing stops and maybe they'll
yeah,
forget
we
to call.
call time
Yeah,
still.
yeah, yeah.
Like we still say 3, 2, 1, go and like time and all that. So like they timing it to that and they fortunately got it within a second. So
Yeah,
that's
no.
good.
I just mean because of you know, Mario 64 has always had that weird timing start where it's on like reset or like power on. So it's like
Yeah, yeah.
you don't get that distinctive visual cue for like an RTA timer that maybe doesn't know
Hmm.
what they're looking for. So the fact that it all worked out perfectly is actually more impressive that way then. So,
Yeah.
yeah, shout outs to whoever was doing the timer there. They nailed it. Frame perfect.
Yeah. Yeah, I think they got like 114.04.8 or something. Close enough.
Yeah, no, I mean 114.04 is all that matters. We
Yep.
don't need to go into like nuanced exact details. Okay. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, I'm glad it all worked out. You see, you guys have it lucky because in Mario 1, the task has been perfected for like 14 years. And we'll probably never see improvements ever
Well,
again.
you never
So
know. You
you
never
never
know.
know, but like even the arbitrary code execution that was found is still slower than just beating the game.
Yeah,
So
that's funny.
yeah, so I mean, at least your task can always be improved. Meanwhile, my game is just we have this
Dead.
perfect run that has been perfect for almost 2 decades, and like RTA people are probably going to tie it, and then the whole game will
Yep.
just be dead in terms of speedrunning. So
Oof.
that's what I'm used to when I think of tasking is that. So at least Mario
Yeah.
64 is hella more interesting and complicated. All right. People want to know what's next, so I guess I'll start doing the finale questions. I got a few here. So first, yeah, you already talked about where to find more information if they want more details on like specific task
Hmm.
stuff. So Bismuth is releasing a good video. You can
Yep.
go to the Discord and just read up on a bunch of information. I guess those are the two main areas of information dumping for people interested.
Yep.
Yep. Um, but yeah, so what is next? Personal, like I'll do personal goals and then like community. What's next?
Oh.
Yeah.
So as for me, I have no idea, to be honest. I didn't
Fair.
like I said this repeatedly at GDQ. My plans end the moment I walk off the stage. And that was like very go back to the UK. And like, after that, then the plans are ended. Um, as for SM64, I don't know yet. I know people have been, poking me to go in different directions. There's been talk of a BLJ list task, there's 70 ABC, there's ROM hack tasking, there's all
Mhm.
these different options. I am, taking a break from SM64 for now. I imagine I'll make more SM64 tasks just because I've been doing it for so long. I don't know anything else. I don't know what I want to do yet. I've not decided. I will figure that out at some point. Otherwise, I've just been chilling with other games. I've been getting back into a few. I've been playing Open Hexagon. I played that as a kid. Not very good at it, but I play at my own skill level. I have fun. But yeah, otherwise, I am just chilling, really, focusing on life, work.
Mhm.
But I'll find something else to do at some point. As for community goals, as I said, it's those major projects. Mainly 70 ABC is probably the most likely. People have been doing some BLJ-less tasks as well, so Shindo could happen. I don't know.
Hmm.
There's a few small wonky improvements that need to be done as well. Um, yeah, I don't really know. Other than that, I guess just continuing with, I hope Task Comp continues to go on. I hope people keep running that because that's great.
Mhm.
But I think it is just sort of business as usual. We have got the 120 tasks done. I'm sure
Oh,
20 tasks can
oh,
finish. Anything can finish.
Discord's doing the big hiccup. Oh,
Oh, we back.
I think so. Yep.
Yeah, I was just saying that I hope these other projects like Shindu, 70 ABC, all these finish because if the 120 tasks can finish, anything can.
Yeah, that was the big thing. Although Shindu would
Yeah.
be longer just because you don't get BLJs, so I guess. But I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, especially with the tools that are out now, it sounds like it's easier to get a project to the finish line, even if improvements are made along the way, which is always
The
happening.
the tools exist, but they're still very specialized. They're not easy to pick up. They're mostly just
Mm.
scripts I wrote and only I know how to use.
Oh,
So I
okay.
think
Well,
there's some work to be done involving making the tools easier to use. That could be something that could be done.
okay.
Um, but yeah, that's for the future. Hopefully tools continue to improve. There is an active dev community around MooPen 64 or the tasking tools, so it's always on the table. So hopefully things will continue to improve and it will continue to get easier as time goes on.
All right. Sounds good. Well, I mean, I think that's everything. I think we've done
Yeah,
it.
I don't have anything else to talk about to be honest. So I've said
Yeah.
everything I want to, and all the technical details will come.
Yeah. I mean, I don't have the brain power to go over the specific technical details, so I think what we covered has
Mm.
been good. Um,
Yeah.
so the last thing I'll ask then is just you can shout yourself out or anyone else you want to shout out, anything specific.
All the tasks that were involved are listed on the task video submission, so you can check out that. I don't think it's published yet, but it will be soon. Otherwise, I don't make much content, so there's not really any reason to follow me other than the odd, I just might make something randomly, I don't know. I can't guarantee that. I am not a regular content creator, but obviously I'm not that hard to find because just search 120 tasks, you will find me.
Hmm.
Um, Not that difficult, but yeah.
Plus, the link will
Shout
be in the
outs
YouTube
to
description, so there you go.
yes, shout outs to Bismuth, shout outs to Atom Pass and Circumark for their lag reduction work. Shout outs to Plush for being the original spearhead for the 120 task project, even though he didn't see it through. Um, yeah, shout outs to everyone that contributed. Yeah, I don't really. Oh yeah, shout outs to all the people making tasking tools as well.
Mhm.
The MooPen 64 Discord is currently active. There's a MooPen 64 website now as well, and that's being updated regularly. So if you want to contribute, if you're a programmer, go there. All programming expertise is useful,
Mhm.
but otherwise,
Ooh,
78 things happen. Enter task on too. It's fun if you want to get into SM64 tasking. That's how you do it. I think that's the
yeah.
best way. Um, what's to say? This has been a very fun project. I had a great time at GDQ, and I don't really, yeah, I'm glad I got to do it. It's a shame that it's probably the only time I'll do something like this, but I will have the memories.
Yeah. I mean, if you ever really want to, I mean, it's always there. I mean, I've gone to 11 of them, and that's just GDQs, like main lines. So I have an addiction with
Yeah,
going to
if
events, but obviously it's a little harder
yeah,
for you. But
yep. Yeah, I need to justify it with there being another big SM64 task project and the guarantee that other people in the community will be there.
mhm. If you need like more local things, I know there's a big like UK speedrunning org of some sort that I don't know. I don't know how many taskers live in the UK that would be willing, but I mean, it's probably a little easier
I
to like travel.
I have no idea.
I wouldn't personally recommend ESA, but no, there's like a specific like UK speed run thing that I know a few
Mhm.
people that go that are based in the UK area. So
Oh, okay.
uh I don't know. I don't know what kind of tasking things they do. Maybe they'd be open to that stuff. I'm not very knowledgeable about the scenes, so I don't have the
Well, I
answers.
have
But
to make a new task for starters.
well, I mean, they could just replay it. Who knows? But no, I mean,
I
maybe
can't
not.
just I can't just follow up the 120 task with a new task.
Yeah, but I don't know. I've had enough of like the UK task scene wanted to like be involved in a speedrun thing of any sort. I mean, I just know there's a specific UK based speedrun thing that
Yeah.
goes on that I know some people that go to. So I mean,
Mm.
there are options, but obviously that's just like if you're really feeling it. But yeah, I think we're done here. I think that's everything. So
Well,
thank you
yeah,
for
this is
coming on and yapping about
this is
tasking.
a good chat.
Good chat.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
It was pretty good, despite the internet hiccups along the way.
Oh,
We
we got
did
there in the
manage.
end. It was better than I expected it to be.
Yeah, it was just a few here and there. It wasn't as
Yeah.
bad as it could have been. So you know,
Mhm.
we'll take our W's as they come. But
Yep.
all right, but yeah, I think that'll be all. So yeah, thanks for watching,
Yeah.
everyone. And we'll
Bye.
yeah, bye. Well, more episodes coming out. I've got a whole backlog of people. Don't worry. God damn it, Ted. Sorry. Always gotta say that. But yeah, if you're watching live, this will be uploaded to YouTube very soon. And yeah, that's all
Yeah.
I got. So thanks for tuning in. Take care.
Bye.